Do you want to grow like a wolf? Are you tired of making your own inputs? Are you tired of being fucking told you're going to lead this podcast? Hi, I'm Grateful. And joining me today is everybody's favorite nerd, Nerd. Join us as we learn howling tech. Try to grow some mids. This is Grateful Nerd. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Grateful Nerd, your number one spot for fish tour updates. We got Howlingbuds with us. How the hell's it going, dude?
Hey, guys. Glad to be here.
I appreciate you joining us. I know it's early as fuck for you, and we wrangled you to finally
I might fall asleep during it, but it's okay.
That's all right. That's all right. It was funny, actually. What was it?
Chug.
Nerd was, we were in Discord chat the other day, and there was a few of us, and he's just sitting there editing. And he goes, hold on, dude. He goes, hold on, guys. He goes, I literally thought I was just listening to a podcast. He's like, he went just completely tuned out what we were talking about. He's like, I thought I was listening to a fucking podcast for like the last 15 minutes. So
yeah, I was sitting there thinking I was listening to a podcast, and then I like grunted or something, and I heard them pause for a second, and I was like, wait, oh shit, I'm live. I'm in live chat right now.
You are part of this.
Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back. Well, I really appreciate you joining us, man. And for anybody that doesn't know who you are, I see that we've got the official YAG representative, man. Give yourself a little introduction.
Well, yeah.
I can't believe the other three guys turned us down. That's messed up.
Well, I tried for long enough, and then I got called out for canceling on you. So I figured I had to come on. And so, and it was I didn't realize that Rev did put it into my contract for over at Your Average Grow that I do have to make appearances on other shows to promote YAG. So here I am. I'm the sacrificial Yagger. But no, really, it's cool. I'm glad to be here. I usually hang out over on the Your Average Grow Discord with you guys. So
sure.
And we have like a lot of overlapping interests and people in the community, and it was cool to be on here and just for the community and to reach some new people that maybe that are just on your Discord that I haven't talked to before, or they gotten to know me. So it's Absolutely. Cool to be here.
Yeah.
Are you saying we don't have 100% overlap in audience?
I'm pretty sure we do.
It is pretty close between all of these. It would be interesting if someone did a comparison. I'm going to say it's definitely greater than 50%. It's not 100% overlap. There is some unique people in each of these Discords, but sure. There's a lot. And we kind of just like, we kind of start from one place, and then I think even YAG was, Frapple was part of the cultivation conversation Discord, and then they kind of kicked it off and figured they would they had something different and unique about them that they wanted to do. And then the same with you guys, you had your own unique thing that you wanted. So it's just kind of how it goes. You find a community, you get involved, you find out what your voice is like and what your style is, and then you just might want to break off and do you. And so that's awesome to see that happening. And so it's like you guys, and then you had like a Paranoid Grower that was in part of these communities and then decided he had his thing that he wanted to do. And it's really cool seeing that everyone getting their creative outlet.
Yeah, I would definitely say the community style is organic, seeing as we spread like bacteria does. We're essentially microbes on the internet.
Yeah, just infected. Yep. But
and sometimes we get in someone's eye and give them pink eye. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
The Discord server admin is like, what is this thread happening?
Did you know it's like Discord is okay with our communities, but I was looking how you can search for Discords. I didn't realize you could search for Discord servers.
Oh, really?
And you can't find ours. Like any of the cannabis ones, I couldn't see them. It's so like, that sucks.
Go into Discord and just search?
Yeah, there was somewhere I have to figure out where it was. But there was some place I found when I was browsing around Discord where you can search for communities, and you really can't find cannabis communities so much. I only looked for a couple, at least at that day, they were not showing up. So it's like, okay, fine. You're okay with us, but you just won't list us either. It's kind of like that back room that no one talks about at the video store with the beaded curtain, and no one talks about it. But if you know it's there, you can walk through it.
Only the weirdos back there. You gotta watch out for them folks. But I love our little Discord communities. I mean, there is a cannabis community as a whole, right? Just people who are growers or they're consumers. There's a cannabis community as a whole, and then within the cannabis community there's many different little cliques and little groups and this and that, and I really enjoy our community. That was really the first just like you said, the cultivation conversation was really one of the first podcasts that I listened within this community. And so I kind of got pulled in that way. And then I started hearing about YAG and this and that. And I think I started listening to YAG really early on. Like I heard the first couple episodes and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I liked it. This isn't really for me. So I kind of pushed it off to the side for a little bit. And then I ended up coming back. And then I hadn't joined any Discords at that point. And it was like I joined cultivation right then and there after listening for a little bit, and then boom, right into YAG, and YAG just felt like home to me. You know what I mean? Like that was the people that I really enjoyed being around. They, you all make it a very welcoming place. And I honestly, I always tell everybody that, being on the internet and this and stuff, it was never really my thing growing up. And it's only been recently that I really got into the social media and, doing this kind of stuff. So it's been a learning curve, but y'all just make it so welcoming over there, and I love this. I love this group that we're all a part of.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you all being there. I wish I had this. It's not because of lack of interest or anything. It's just lack of attention and time that everyone that's has their Discord servers. I can't even keep up with our own. And there's days where it's just I can't even keep up with the conversations. I won't even scroll back. I don't have time, and I feel bad because there's a lot of interesting things going on in each of these. And it's and I feel bad, if I'm not participating over in the other Discords as well. And it's just, I can't and I tried for a while and it burns you out a bit. And I'm someone that did grow up with this. I think it was around 14. It's when the internet just started coming around. And so I was all in the online chat in places and ICQ and AIM and IRC. And I grew up through all these things and shit talking on the internet. It's in my blood now. And
exclamation point get list.
Yeah. And it's, and so I'm used to it, but it's just a lot. I used to be in hundreds of these things back when I was younger, but now my brain is fried. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't have no attention span for that. Nope.
But I love all the I love that there is it's not quiet. I love that there is all that discussion, even if I can't keep up with it. Nothing ruins my soul more than finding a new community and it's just dead, or it's the same two people talking over and over again. Yeah, and it just kills. I just paid for a Patreon. I won't say what. Join the Discord because I wanted to learn some things, and it has a lot of information, but it's from the same two people, and it's I joined this because I thought the people that started it were going to be here. Right. They're not. And I thought it would be a lot more involvement from everyone because there was maybe 100 members or something. Okay. And it's that's a low percentage that's communicating here. So what is going on? So, but I'm glad that it's so active, and especially yours. Every time I look, it's there is something almost in every one of the channels going on, and it's holy shit.
Yeah, I don't think we come close to the way YAG gets rolling, but yeah, we're very lucky that we've got a lot of active community members, and people always doing things. And actually, speaking of that, we recently added a new channel to our Discord. Matt Fratt came to me, and he was talking about a project that he wanted to do. Him and Gromy are getting into this. They wanted to do a collab. They wanted to do some work together, and I don't know all the details behind it, but the channel is under the community projects. So we wanted to basically give the community that may not have spots to share if they want to work on projects, right? So this is kind of something where we're not breeders. We're not, these are just people within the community that want to share and show their work that they're putting into these things. So we've got a little spot for it. So Black Gold / Space Station Z is the one that they're working on there. I have to look back to see exactly. So Black Z, I know Gromy is doing a little bit of work of Black Z from Hummingbird Hills, and then Space Station Gold. So I don't know the whole story behind exactly what they're going to do, but I am very excited to see what they cook up. So
yeah, I'm looking at it.
Check them out.
I'm looking at it now. Like Space Station Gold, I already kind of knew wasn't my jam. I mean, when it has right as the first thing, it says Super Sativa Pheno. It's like, yeah, we're out. But looking at Black Z, it has blueberry slushy. So it's blueberry. I'm all in. That's cool.
So I am really excited to see how that all goes. And then you'll notice also underneath that channel right there, Nancy's Cookies. So this is kind of like the first time we're really saying anything, but I think a lot of people knew that when I first wanted to do a little project, it was going to be with Nancy Raygun. I intentionally bought those seeds, bought that shirt, with the intentions that I was going to try my first hand at, chucking some pollen with Nancy Raygun. And then things kind of got pushed around. I was offered the 91 grapefruit, so I ended up rolling with that. But now it's time to get back to that Nancy Raygun. So my plan is to bring that to an F3. We're going to do a little bit of outdoor pollination, and then I'll bring it inside for the F2 generation to work to an F3 indoors in the 4x4. And then I'm going to send that to Gannick, and then he's going to actually, it's funny the way we're doing it. So there's that shirt that y'all just did with Alabrije, the Yag Brije shirt. And there is a freebie that's coming with that shirt. I can't remember. It's a Reserva Privata. It's an F2 that Alabrije worked in. And he's going to work that to an F3 or F4, and then we're going to try to clash those together and see what happens. So 2 different packs from 2 different Alabrije shirts, and we're going to throw them together.
Is this going to be your first breeding project in the 4x4?
So no. So my plan right now, I've got the Tangy Rainbows in there, those testers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The plan is that once those are done, I'm going to probably put either Yagmi or ME1 into that 4x4 and then see what I get. If I'm happy with what I get, then we'll let some pollen fly in there, and then we'll take that to the F2. And then that'll be the rest of the summer. And then I think probably late fall, early winter is when the Nancy Rayguns will go into there. So the F2s will start getting worked on, or F3s, I should say, will start getting worked on later this year.
So are you doing all these in small pots on the Trader Grow? So
that's the plan. I am running. I got some those AC Infinity bags.
The fabric.
They're the 1 gallons.
Like the nursery fabric
I'm not
thing.
a big fan of those, man.
Really? I love them.
So the only thing is they're so flimsy. And
they suck for that.
That's the thing, man, is it doesn't seem like it doesn't have much stability. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was like, oh, these are only 2 gallons. How big could they possibly get? They get like I've got 6 plants in these 2 gallons, and that 4x4 is packed.
I can fill a 2x2 space with a half gallon.
Yeah.
So those plants, if you feed them right and give them enough water, like on the Trader Grow, they get big,
dude,
for their pot size.
I was not expecting that. So it's going to be interesting. But my plan will be I'm going to fill up all the 1 gallons and then basically just fill each tray with, a seed in each of the 1 gallons, and then just cull them as they come up, kind of see what's going on. And then go from there. So yeah, my plan will be to do like 1 gallons.
And how are you feeding them? Is it just relying on some organic inputs and top dressing a lot, or are you doing something else?
So lasagna. As of right now, for this past Tangy Rainbows, the 2 gallons, because this is really my first time doing it. You know, I've grown in bonsais. I love my little bonsai thing, but that's not the same as growing a big ass plant in a small pot. But yes, so my plant, my attack, how I do it right now is I basically had a tote with reused soil, right? I would amend it in some kind of way, you know, lightly, maybe with some craft blend, or this last time I did like insect frass, some silica, and, you know, a few other things, and let that sit in there for a little bit. And then I put them into the 2 gallons. And then what I've been doing was I had some rice hulls as a mulch layer. You know, because that was my first thing. It was like, fuck, I am trying to grow this organic method, you know, with this organic method that works really well in larger containers, but not always feasible in the smaller containers. I was like, I need to figure out how to keep this little battery of soil as wet as not as wet as possible, but at that optimal spot, so everything keeps chugging along. And the rice hulls seem to work pretty well. I'm actually not too upset about them. I'm probably going to buy some more and definitely keep that going for my smaller pots. But yeah, just top dressing underneath those rice hulls. And then I use the Soil Makers. They have like a water soluble veg formula. I'm still working on my build a soil. They have a flower form. What is that? Build a flower, not build a flower. What is their water?
Build a bloom.
Build a bloom. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm using that, and that's pretty much it. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for sure, and that was something I wanted to pick your brain about, because I know you do very, very well with your smaller containers in an organic setting.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to ask what you were doing, so I could steal some ideas, because while what I'm doing works, it's maybe a little more time than I want to dedicate to them.
Signal, re-ruin, endo online, sun ain't on the ride, poop never detected. I hate to hack in, but where did she go? I'm looking and I'm searching for my keeper Fino, and I'm grateful, plants up, worms slow, chillin', vibing, the slow lane show. Yeah, she's sticky and she think he try to comb alert. Loud in the tent, but nerd in the dirt. Microbes flow, making poop dirt. Now pass it back, dirt experts.
Gotcha.
Because it's like for the small pots where I use rooted leaf. I mean, it only takes me a minute and a half to mix up a batch to feed, but then I actually have to do it, and I do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I leave the tray to grow on the whole time. I use I think what I've settled on is for 1 gallon pots, I will use 200 milliliters of feed. For 3 gallon, it's like 500 milliliters. And those are usually, and then the small pots are maybe like a shot glass or 2. And it just sucks because I just got to get down there and do it. And then if I'm not, and I don't, because especially as they get bigger, there's so much root mass that's in there. I don't know if it's really holding on to some nutrients to hold it over. Like I do go from Friday to Monday without feeding, and that seems to be fine. But it's summertime and I want to get away. And there's going to be times where I'm gone for a weekend or extended weekend, or maybe even a whole week, because my wife's family owns like a place on a river in Indiana where we like to hang out during the summer. So if I'm gone for a week, the Trader Girl can keep them watered, but I can't feed them.
Hurting. Yeah, they're going to be hurting.
So I'm just like, I'm shutting down the tent. So right now I just pulled the 1/2 gallon Tangy Rainbows out of there. And then I have a 3 gallon Night Owl photo tester that's in there. And once that's done, the tent's shut off and vacant until September. Because I just can't, that's like my autoflower tent now. I only will grow autoflowers now in smaller pots. The beds get reserved for the photos.
What made you choose that?
I'm tired of dealing with autos. So I like the variety. I like our homies that make all this stuff, and I want to support them and try out their gear. I hate, like, I'm not one that's just going to say no more autos, and then I get to miss out on all the cool shit like Alabrije and Daz and BGG are doing.
I have mentioned no more autos a handful of
I have mentioned it since my first auto. And that was 3 years ago, and I still haven't stopped. So it kind of shows, like, it still has a place in my heart. They're fun. It's nice to have a plant in its final pot and you just let it roll. And it's just what it is what it is. And then I don't have to care about light leaks as much. I don't have to care if I have to walk into the tent for some reason. I don't care if the lighting schedule got fucked up. They kind of just take the abuse a bit.
That's what's for me. That is what
I just hate, I think the biggest thing is since they're so finicky with watering, I mean, I've gotten pretty decent with running them in the beds, but that's a whole different game than what, like, if I can just pick up a small pot and weigh it, and I can be like, okay, you really do. I know exactly the amount of water that you need. And I have a lot of success running autos in the small pots just because I can baby them a bit more and know exactly what they need. And so I think and I can run more of them. Like, instead of dedicating a bed and a 2x4 to one auto or something, I'm absolutely done running more than one auto in that bed, in that tent. After the Alabrije box, where I had all three of the marathon crosses in there, and then I followed that up with the Drowsy and your Drowsy cross. Yeah. No freaking way am I running more than one auto in that tent at a time anymore.
It's a good problem to have, man. You always grow such beautiful plants, man. You have great success in
yeah. If only I could stop having mold on them, that would be awesome. I just had to. I harvested the nice frosty tangy rainbows, and that didn't work out so well. I screwed up something, and I'll figure it out. I'm gonna make some adjustments.
How bad was it?
It was only one small spot, and it was the last cola. I ended up just chucking the whole plant, though. It's just, once the spores are everywhere, I'm just really curious how much, and this was before dry. So if it was after dry, and I've had stuff where it's after dry and I notice a couple spots, but if I don't notice it on the others, I accept the fact that spores are always in the air. So it's not like, even though I don't see anything, I know spores are there, and that's just a reality of growing. Like, you're going to have it. I just make sure there's nothing that has taken hold. And if it's after dry, I will chuck the ones that do show something and maybe slightly around it, but I'll keep other stuff. And I'll just monitor how I'm feeling if I smoke it. If I start sneezing and coughing and I just feel like shit, then I'll ditch the whole thing, which has not happened yet. But this was before the dry. And it's like, if I'm already going into dry seeing something, it's just going to go bonkers.
She was chunky, man.
She was. I didn't realize it until I was always checking it every day, and I never realized how chunky it was until I cut it down and I'm holding one of them in my hand. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, this got some weight and size to it. And that's when I decided, like, I got to break these apart. I cannot hang dry these. Sure. And that's what I was doing. I was breaking them apart. And there were a couple so she had a lot of purple in her. Yes. But there was a couple spots that were more purple than others. And I'm like, is this kind of bud rot setting in? I don't know. Let me keep going and cutting. And then got to the last one, and it was a smaller than a pencil eraser size, real faint fuzzy patch, but I'm pretty good at finding them now because I do have that problem once in a while. And I'm like, son of a bitch. So I pull out the microscope and look. I'm like, oh, that's absolutely what it is.
It's always heartbreaking, man.
It was. I would have tried saving it if I had some head stash, or if I didn't have head stash and I really needed this, I would have done something. I would have dried it for edibles, or just tried to find, like, there was a lot of stuff that showed no signs of anything that I probably could have dried and been fine. But since I got head stash, it's like,
it's not worth
I can't risk it. I'm blowing spore. I know there's spores. I'm just going to encourage them being blown around in my dry tent, which who knows what that means for the next thing I try dry. It's just, I don't need the risk. So I ditched the whole plant. I don't know. That's the 2x4 that had the bed that now will not run an auto in it again. I don't think that used to be
that was the one in the bed, not the
the little one's drying right now. That was in a different tent. That was in the tent I ran that under 1212 with the Night Owl photo tester. It definitely was a very different. It was a different pheno of tangy rainbows. And it behaved very differently. It grew differently, different bud structure. Everything was different from the start. It was beautiful, actually. It branched out. The one in the small pot branched out really nice. Yeah, where the one I had in the bed, it kind of wanted to almost like grow and fold in on itself, almost like a head of romaine lettuce. It was just like,
no kidding.
I had to actually use garden wire and pull it and open it up a bit to try to get some air in there and try to get some light to the inner canopy, because it was just it was funky the way it was growing.
Really tight, right? Like
it was real super tight, super tight. I've never had a plant try to grow in on itself like that.
One of my F3s is doing that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool a lot between, because I've got 3 of the F3s and 3 of the F4s.
What was the ones he originally sent? Were those the F4s?
So those are the F4s. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was so stoked to run. You know what I mean? Because I had them all in the earth boxes, and I was like, it's going to be a whole fucking room of tangy rainbows, and I will continue to make up excuses for as to how I fucked them up so bad, because it was so depressing, man. Like dude, it knocked me down a good couple notches, from growing them. And then I was sick right around that time. And I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention, or if I didn't saturate the earth boxes enough before I got the whole thing going. And I just never kept up with it. And they all got stunted so bad that I had nothing to do but yank them all. But then I put everything inside the 4x4, and this is my first grow in that type of style in the small pots, and they crushed. They absolutely crushed. So The only thing that I can say with those tangy rainbows is, I may have had those issues up to that first start, but that was totally all on me, because all the testers that I've been seeing, everybody's been getting beautiful plants.
They're nice. It definitely, this tangy rainbows is a humbling plant. Either like you found that they stunted a bit, and that may just be something with that strain where you just have to learn how to give them a little bit better of what they want. They may have more preferences. And I learned a bit about the slow veg times of them. Like, I'm not used to autos usually just take off. And if they don't have they don't take off quickly, we always think that they're stunted. And Ali Brihe kept on saying, no, slow veg. They veg like photos, just give them time. And sure as shit, that's exactly what it was. It was like for the first 4 weeks, I would have yanked her if she was anyone else and someone didn't tell me just to wait. I would have yanked her. I was actually even close with Ali Brihe telling me. And I was like, okay, I'll wait. I have no pressure to have this tent going. Okay, I'll wait. And sure, it just took off. And I'm so pissed. That plant, with how much it weighed when it was wet, I am going to guess it was 7 to 8 ounces of flour that is gone now. And it was frosty as hell, and it had all the purples that I liked, but it taught me just to give these plants a little longer, which is another reason why, because autos can do that, and you don't have time on your side because they're going to tell you what's going on. Right. I think I'm a little more hesitant, since they're just my fun plants. I'm a little more hesitant to dedicating a bed and a tent to them. That's why
what are non-fun plants?
Non-fun plants? Well, I consider, like, the photos are fun, but they're for business. They're for stash. They're for I need them.
So I just imagine we're in like a horror movie, and then the camera pans through to Howling's room, and he just has like fungal tentacles coming off his body, like running up the walls around he just puts the hoodie on to like trick us.
Sometimes I wonder what goes on in your mind.
Mostly horror movie stuff.
That's awesome.
You should see our personal little little DMs. If someone was to just stumble upon the stuff that we talk about in there, it's something else. But one of the things I definitely want to talk about, because I always find it really interesting and how attention to detail oriented you are. give us kind of like that idea of, how you go about your smaller containers. Cause I mean, like you said, you were weighing them, and give us your rundown on how you do small containers, and what size do you consider a small container?
Anything less than 1 gallon. And I do this for photos or autos. It's just that, so like with photos, I start out with solo cups, and sometimes I'll go to a 1 gallon and then their final home. And so with any small pot, I do weigh them. So what I do is I saturate, since I don't need like many gallons of soil, I can easily just take a little bit of soil, saturate it to the level that I like. So I just have this big pan, and I bring out my Chapin, and I saturate it. I mix it all up and do the squeeze test. And once it's where I like, that is my idea of like the saturation point I want.
It's like clumping together, right?
Yeah. And maybe just like a little drip that comes out. And if there's a few more drips, I might mix some dry soil in, and I just try to get it. It's kind of like baking.
That's what she says. We got it. My episode quota is completed. I'll log off
now. Yeah, and so I will I'll fill whatever container they're going into, and I usually start all my seeds in the cocoa coin pucks, and so I'll transplant in there. I'll get them in their home, put a little mulch on top, and then I'll weigh it. And so I sometimes I'll start getting anal enough with it where, like, if they're in solo cups, I'll write on every solo cup the weight. And usually they're mostly all the same, but then you realize, okay, well, I didn't fill this cup the same way and whatever. But, and at some point I just average it, and I'll say, okay, everything started at this time in this pot size is going to be this weight. That's what I'm targeting. I don't give a shit about a little bit of variance. And so, like, if it's 300 grams for a solo cup, I just keep an eye on that. And so I know, like, at the start, they're not going to dry out within 1 day. So I might check them every other day or every third day. And once they've lost about, it's at least like 30 grams, which is 30 milliliters of water. Like, once I realize like that's gone from a solo cup, that's when I'll give them a shot glass of water or whatever. I'll get them right back to the target weight. And I'll do that. Like, 1 gallons are hard because I'm a little bit more flexible with the weighing and watering for the 1 gallons. But yeah, like the quarter, I've done solos, quarters, and half gallons. And yeah, I'll just weigh them, and it's super quick. I have one of these, they're like bottles made for watering cacti. And these little bottles with like a nozzle. Like, they're just this. Oh, it's like you squeeze bottle. There's not even a pump. Like, you squeeze the bottle and it comes out. Okay. And so and it's a nice little stream. So I fill that up with, and it's usually every small pot. I don't start it the first week, but the second week of their life, I will start feeding them with rooted leaf. It's just it's an insurance policy. Like, I know that for the first couple of weeks, there's enough, especially if it's new soil. I know there's enough fertility in there to keep them going, but I just give them a little boost. And it's kind of like, it's just an insurance policy for my fuck ups. If I can get them a little more to make them, because like the rooted leaf has silica and has aloe and fermented aloe in some of them. And like, there's these hormones and, I forget all the words, cytokines and all sorts of stuff that makes the plant stronger, that makes the cells stronger. I figure I'm just hedging my bet. And if I abuse them just a little bit, that's what's going to come in and save me. And so far, I mean, I've been doing this method for 2 years now, and it's working pretty well.
Works really well.
But yeah, that's all I do with the small pots before they go on a tray or something, or before they go on their final home, is I baby them, I weigh them, water to weight, and that's it. And I usually do. If they're in solos, I may not feed. Like, I know with small pots, if that's their final home, I'll feed 3 days a week. With these, I just feed each time they need a watering event, because it's not every other day. It might be every third day or something. Okay. Yeah. And I play with, there's like 3 feeding schedules for rooted leaf. I'll play with it. I don't know. I don't settle on one. If they're in their final home in a small pot, it's always their highest EC schedule. I'll that stuff's blast them.
readily available, right?
It is. It's all
chelated and all that.
Yeah, they use carbon, I think, to chelate it. So, like, one of the biggest things, biggest inputs for a plant is carbon, and it also helps. Like, a lot of people focus on having enough CO2 in your air because they're getting carbon from the air.
Yeah.
This is kind of like you're giving it to it in the soil. And so you don't have to worry about like stress it out as much about what your environment's like with CO2, if that's your thing, if that's something you stress about because you're feeding the soil with the carbon. So it's taking it up through that. And I actually think I was reading somewhere that the pathway for doing that is more efficient than if it was through air.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it's carbon chelated nutrients. So it's all readily available, but because it's carbon chelated, I think there's something about it that doesn't cause a plant to burn. Now, I will say, if you do grossly overfeed it, it will kill your plant. And I learned that the first time I used rooted leaf. I was learning, the schedule calls for like 3 milliliters of this calcium product. It's called CalMag Fuel, and which is actually pretty cool on its own. It's made from like orange peels that are gelatinized and become stable. And that's like, you wouldn't think like your CalMag's coming from orange peels, but that's where it's coming from. But instead of using 3 milliliters, I use 30 milliliters. And yes, it absolutely will kill a plant. So it's not completely safe, but I will say, like, if I feed heavy, even if I fed every day heavy, the chances of it burning up a plant, like, I don't even get tip burn. And so it just stores it in the soil. I'm probably overfeeding as it is now. But again, I will pay a little bit to have insurance policies. And so if I forget a day, like yesterday I didn't feed because I was just lazy. I know I have time. I'll feed today. I can't go like a week without doing that, but I can skip some days. And then, that's a good way when they're in the small pots. And then I'm still experimenting with feeding schedules when they stay in the small pots for their whole life. I want to find something more sustainable to where I can get away and not have to feed 3 times a week. I may experiment when I kick off another run. I may experiment with a heavy feed once or twice a week, maybe. I don't know. And just see how that goes. Maybe it builds up enough. Or maybe I find a different product or something. I just don't want to. I see what you all struggle with trying to do the normal top dressings and stuff, and that
definitely not feasible.
It's stressful. Like, I like in the small pots, I can correct things pretty quick with the liquid stuff, and I know it's not like the complete all natural. Like, it's not the normal amendments that we would use in most pots that I use elsewhere. But it is all natural inputs. It's fermented.
Yeah, it is all organic.
You're basically feeding FPEs the whole time.
Yeah,
like, that's what all it is. It's just fermented stuff. He just, the guy that created the company, he just learned very specific things about different plants. Like, he sources specialty teas from other countries. Like, he's found different things that implied a lot of science to it. He scienced the shit out of it. And just found that there are these certain properties of different plants that when you ferment them and you treat them a certain way, that these things come out of them, like the orange peel shit. Or now he's working on this new line where, like, the silica now, like, you can completely freeze it and it doesn't affect it. Like, but it's all natural stuff. He just spends the time to understand it. So he's not like these. Like, people, when they hear, like, I do liquid feeds, they instantly think of things like Athena and stuff. And it's like, no, those companies are buying bulk bags of generic nutrients and mixing it up in their bottle and putting a label. It's all the same shit. Like, if you really dig into it, all these synthetic liquid feeds are very much all the same products. They buy the same bags of fertilizer, dry powder, and they mix it just in their own ways. Apply their label with their unique spin on it, and that's what it is. But this stuff that he's doing is truly unique. Like, there is not the only company that kind of comes close to some of the thinking is, at least from like the carbon standpoint, is Organics Alive. They're mostly a dry product, and I might try them. I have their starter kit, so like they're a contender.
Top dress or
it has to be. You can't run it in the res. So all these things, they don't become. So Rooted Leaf does have a hydro feeding program, but it's only you have to. So this is where it turns people off. Is the Rooted Leaf program is like 8 bottles. Jeez. But I can mix up a whole batch using every single bottle within a minute and a half. Like that's wow. It's stupid simple. It's like 3 milliliters of these 2 bottles, 2 milliliters of these 4 bottles, and then like 1 milliliter of these other 2 bottles. Like the ratios are pretty. They scale with each other, and once you know like what the starting input is, like you know what the other bottles are kind of like, because the ratios are very similar. And I have a syringe. This is how I got around instead of 3 milliliters using 30 milliliters is I now have very specific syringes that I use with a feeding needle, and I can't fuck it up. Like if I fill the whole syringe, it's still not going to fuck it up. Like I can't, there's no way I have to idiot proof everything I do, because I'm just going to make a mistake.
That's one of the reasons why it's kind of turned me off to get away from doing that type of stuff. You know, my measuring style, we measure with our heart around here and handfuls. Right? That drives me nuts.
I'm trying to get more like that. And I'm getting a little more like that recently. Like when I just top dressed, the 2 beds in my 4x4, I used to like count by the scoops and make sure each bed had exactly the same things. I was a little more liberal and didn't measure exactly. And I said, okay, I just sprinkled it on top. I'm like, okay, that looks good enough to me. That's about right. I found when they recommend like, each pot should have like a 1/4 cup or a 1/2 cup on top, you kind of realize like, as long as it scales for pot size, as long as you kind of just sprinkle on top, that is what they're talking about. So like if they say a 1/4 cup, they're probably talking about like a 10-gallon pot or something, and that's the surface area. If it's a bed, it's a little more because it's more soil, but it's still all the same. If you sprinkle on the top, it's that amount for the size of soil that you have, their volume of soil. So anyways, back to the small pots and feeding. I'm looking at things, Organics Alive, maybe a contender, but all these natural inputs, I would really like something that could just run in the res and I forget about it, but there is no organic thing that you can fully run the full lineup in there, because what ends up happening is the microbes that are in the products start eating away things that are in the water, and it causes pH swings and causes things to come out of solution and not homogeneous. And like it's a living environment. You put organic things into a res, it's a living environment. It does not matter if it's like, unless I use like distilled water for the whole thing, which then my pH would be stupidly low, because these are fermented products. They're all very acidic. So it would just be stupid to try that. And Rooted Leaf has a hydro chart, but that's only for 2 of the bottles. That's like their base nutrient line. And then all the other goodies, you have to either foliar spray or top water. So it's like, that's kind of getting me there, but kind of not. Yeah. And maybe I try that for like, if I know I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time, maybe I try the res and just forget the other bottles for that week. I have to experiment. It sucks that it just takes so long to experiment to get an answer, and I'm impatient as hell.
Well, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, man, because you always have.
I appreciate it.
It's always fun to watch your garden, and that's the other thing that I love about the community too is, we have all these other people to look at their gardening styles. Everybody's got some sort of.
Everyone has their style.
Thing. Yeah.
I don't see too many. I mean, we all kind of, especially in our communities, we all have a foundation in. A lot of us have a foundation in like the organic principles, mainly that like Jeremy from Bill of Soil kind of started, which I'm growing away from, but I cannot fault it as a starting point because it's foolproof. It works. It gets you your first win. Like anyone that follows it somewhat is going to have a win. And that's like the biggest thing it does is you're using organic stuff and you get a win. And that hooks you.
Helps you learn the basics.
Yeah, you start learning, like you may not learn what each of these things he's telling you to do. And like I know that people have, and I agree with some of it, that Bill of Soil is a little bit of a cash cow now, and it's kind of clear what they're turning into. But the foundational principles of using some of these products, follow their schedule a bit. Is it too much? Is it costly? It's costly. It's probably way more than you need to actually be doing. But you still have to look at, why are you doing that? If you continue using it forever, great. But at least for the beginner grower, you get that win. And if I didn't have that, if I didn't find it, I think I didn't start out that way. I ran a couple grows not doing it and stumbled a bit. And then when I found it, it's like instantly my plants changed. That was like the secret sauce.
So you're saying you stumbled on kind of your first grows. What were you doing before you kind of switched over to the Build a Soil?
I wish I could do the Canadian accent, but God, green 444. Like it was that. I was using Costa Maine Stonington. I had the 2 jugs of Gaia Green, maybe a little bit of worm castings, and that was it. Like that's the way I started. And that gets you there, but you ain't growing, like, at least for me, I wasn't growing. For a beginner, I wasn't growing those monster plants, and I think, and they weren't the healthiest.
Like 5 gallons or so. You were growing in.
Yeah, all of them, all of the pots I started with were 5 gallon. I want to say that 5 gallons was my size for the first 3 grows. Actually, it wasn't until my earth boxes that I moved up. And no, anyways, there's somewhere, I'm trying to remember if it was the 10 or 15 gallon grassroot pots or the earth boxes that came first. It's one of those, but it was 5 gallon for a few times. And I will never doing, like, that's where I also learned, just trying to do it the natural, organic, top dressing way. I fucking hate anything less than 15 gallons if you're doing that, because it just gets to now chasing your tail. It's not going to be enough in some regard. And it's not overall. You're going to have health. You're going to have a plant that's going to grow, but there is just going to be something it wants more than what that battery of soil is going to do. And I like just the bigger pot size. I know it's going to have enough of everything. It might deplete something about it more than the others, but it's going to have everything. Yeah. And I learned pretty quick. I only did like 2 or 3 runs before I think I found the earth boxes. And I'm like, I got to move.
All right, y'all, before we get back in the show, we got to read an ad. Today's episode is brought to you by Blunt Force Trauma, the only cannabis brand specifically formulated to unlock repressed memories and make you feel just the right amount of uncomfortable. Whether you're trying to remember the name of your 3rd grade bully or suddenly craving that weird school pizza rectangle, Blunt Force Trauma has you covered. Their award-winning strain, Timeout OG, is a heavy hitter that'll send you spiraling into a vivid flashback of that one time your dad yelled at you during Little League. Don't sleep on Mom's New Boyfriend Haze that smells like Axe body spray and abandonment, but hits like a nostalgic freight train. Plus, every eighth comes sealed with a child-proof jar and an emotional support hotline, just in case. So if you're ready to laugh, cry, and call your therapist, spark up some Blunt Force Trauma and get high enough to relive your lowest moments. Use promo code WhyAmIWeeping at checkout for 20% off your first trauma trip. Blunt Force Trauma. It's not a strain. It's a suppressed memory. Now back to the show.
I think that's kind of like like everybody's like, all right, I'm going to get into growing. And that's just like the basic pot size. Everybody's like, all right, we're getting 5 gallons. I mean, I know that's the way that I went. Terrible. That's the way a lot of, it just seems like that's the way that everybody drifts. And, I remember watching some of, Jeremy stuff really early on. Like when I first started growing, it was the Fox Farm Trio. And then I realized, and then my mom got me a, gift card to go to a grow store, and I ended up going up there, and there was a guy that was running the joint there, and I think I had gone in for the Nectar of Gods because I was kind of like I was doing a little bit of the Fox Farm Trio, and then I was kind of like going over to the granular side. I was kind of like making the shift, and I was like, oh, I got some of the Nectar of the God like veg stuff, and I started using that, and then I went up there in intentions to get some more of that type stuff. And he goes, well, have you ever heard of Build a Soil? And he was like just talking about them, like could not give enough high praise about Build a Soil. And I was like, well, I guess I got to try this. And since I started with Build a Soil, that was pretty much what held me for the longest time until I found a local source, the soil makers, which are they're literally they have the same kind of inputs. Obviously they source them differently and this and that. They're slightly different, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy that I found Build a Soil, or at least the philosophy around it. Like, I was always an organic grower, but it was more of, I used organic inputs, but I didn't know exactly why or when to use them. It was like doing outdoor gardens and stuff. It's like, once in a while I'll just add some of this to the soil and mix it in. I have no idea what I'm doing. Right. But the philosophy behind it, I was always wanting to grow organically. And it actually was this is when I was first started growing. I found a Discord community and called Welcome to the Grow Tent. And I forget how I forget how I even came across this thing. I wish I remembered.
He's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, he does.
I've seen some of his videos.
Yeah, and it was enough to start. Like, I found the community, not him. Like, he and I share quite a bit of different thoughts on growing now. And I didn't even really like it as much then. He was definitely like more of a synthetic grower. He grew for yield more than anything, I think.
Big plants.
Yeah, well, he was big into scrogging and filling canopies and doing things like that. So I was like, I like that. But then I found a natural input grower in that Discord, and he would buy, like, his wife worked at a store, and she would get like things that have like a best by date that you're not going to sell to humans, but it's fine for plants. And he would get like little coconut waters, little probiotic drinks and stuff. He would feed that to his plants. Okay. And I'm like, I didn't realize at the time, like, why are you doing this? I never understood all that stuff. And then I digging into that and learning from him, somewhere along the line, that's when I think I found like the first season of Build a Soil. And I'm like, and then I joined the Discord and learned all that. And that was great. Like, that kept me going up until, it's only outside like the small pot rooted leaf stuff. My bigger stuff was always following. I still have the Build a Soil schedule taped onto my wall in my grow room. Like, I'm still and that it's a very recent thing that I'm even breaking from that. And maybe 2 grows now, but I'm trying to make like the next step after that. It's like, okay, you gave me my foundation. Let me branch out. I'm a big boy now. I might be able to learn.
And that's the thing I always liked about Jeremy is, even in his videos, at least, like the early videos, it was bringing information to you and saying, hey, you can buy this. And we're literally showing you this product in motion, right? Like, so not only is he saying, buy this, but here I'm showing you my work.
Yeah.
Right? Which is really, really, really awesome. And it's also a good marketing scheme type deal, but, he even says it in the early videos that it's like, you don't have to buy what I'm buying. Like, here, look, and I'm transparent as to what's inside my stuff and how we source it. Go find something local. That's going to be, I would rather you buy something local than have to pay for the shipping and, all the gas that it takes to get it over there. Like, get it local. And that's what I've always loved about him, because it was like, okay, so not just buy my products, but do some research yourself and educate yourself to how
And that was great for the first couple seasons. And I will always stress everyone that's getting new into growing, watch just the first couple. Do not watch the last couple, because now, like, the last couple, it's very clear the business shift. And now, you ever see like some of those corny movies where all of a sudden they break into a product placement, like holding a can of Coke with the label directly out, and they're holding it in a weird way, trying to drink so they can get it. Or like you see like the sports events where like they have bottles of Gatorade and stuff. Like, I hate it now. Like, that's all it is a bunch of product placements. And anyways, it's just not for me. But now, there you go. And so now, like, I'm trying to, like, when he does say like, oh, here's aloe, and like, I'm not saying you have to buy the aloe from us. You can get it from anywhere, source it wherever. Like, I'm like, okay, cool, I will. But why am I? And so now I'm learning about these inputs, and why does aloe matter? Why does coconut matter? What are these when they say it's like the Rootwise Biophos, like, why do I care about this particular microbial product over just the regular microbial product? Like, what makes it different? Like, other than just do it. And there was like a lot of times where you can't go into all the details. His video series is not to go into as much details. It's give you like a very introductory baseline knowledge about things. And that's right. Like that's just
to fly over.
Yeah. And so now I'm in the stage of learning what all these are doing. And now even branching on, like I've made some teas with like oat flour and beets and stuff things that you typically don't see a lot of people doing, and to understand why. Like, and now I'm going to start, I'm finding, he doesn't talk about foliar sprays as much. But like now I'm going to get into like, okay, fine. Aloe and coconut and these things have like these phytohormones, and they do various things with the plant. Well, like what else can I do? Like, and now I'm going to start, I think I'm going to experiment with like doing like kelp sprays, liquid kelp sprays and stuff. So like, and figuring out like, these are the natural things to encourage the plant to do what you want it to do. And I like the fact that you can just buy these products and follow a schedule and do it. I would have fucking failed without that. Yeah. It's like you start from, like, I'm the type with everything, baking, cooking, everything is, I don't just naturally have intuition to do it. I need a recipe, but then I'll start branching out when I get the confidence that I always have. So like I look at Build a Soil as like, that's the recipe that taught you the basic like knife and cooking skills and stuff. And now you can start experimenting. And I'm at that stage now. And I'm sure I'm going to have some failures, but luckily I've learned enough, I think, and I have enough products on hand that I can respond quickly to something going wrong. Which is also why I'm glad that because of my nerding out about some of these things, I'm glad that I've like learned about rooted leaf and stuff, because I do have a liquid natural input. But then there's even things like having a bottle of fish hydrolysate on hand, like can fix so much. Like you start seeing something go wrong, watering that in. It's immediately available. Just go water some of that in, and that'll take care of some base level things. Now it's not going to pull your burnt ass plant because you blast it with 2000 ppfd. It's not going to, if it's crispy, it's not going to pull it out of that. But you start getting if the plant seems a little wonky, there is some truths to like calcium and magnesium products, although you should not have them combined. You should treat them separately, is what I'm learning. But still, having that, like an organic CalMag input, and having some of like fish hydrolysate and stuff, you start like Build a Soil. I don't teach these things. It's more of follow this schedule and it'll get you there. But when things go wrong, they don't teach you as much, I feel. And that's what I'm trying to learn is like get more tools in the toolbox now. That's my problem too. Yeah. Cause that's the Build a Soil way. And a lot of these organics, when people start preaching it, you get talking about it, and a lot of people neglect to say, but you've got to be in a 10 gallon, right? Or it's got to be in a 15. Like this doesn't apply. Like me trying to give advice to somebody that's growing organically the same way that I'm growing in my earth boxes in a 2 gallon, they're not going to be transferable. The people that make organic seem hard are the people trying to cheat nature. And it's people trying and honestly, that's kind of the way I view like some of the synthetic growing is you're cheating nature and you're applying nutrients a different way. And they think that cheating nature applies when they go to organic as well. It's no, nature's going to bite you in the ass if you try doing that. And that's where they get discouraged, or they think they have to do way more than they actually do. Like we have our buddy Jasa, who wants to start dipping his toes from the Athenian land into organics at some point. But he says it's like he's lazy, it's too complicated, it's too many things. No, get yourself a fucking 15-gallon pot, 2 fresh bags of soil, water it only, you're done. Like you just grew an organic run and you didn't do shit. Maybe a little worm castings on top here and there. And I bet you'll grow a really good plant as long as your watering's on point. Put that in an auto pot, or even get like a 13-gallon XXL auto pot bag. Yeah. Do it in a tray, and you don't have to do shit else. Yeah. I have done it. You don't have to do shit else. Everything else is just, it's that 10% more that you're just trying to do. 90% of it is covered just by the 13 gallons of soil. People do earth boxes all the time. And I know like Jeremy talks about a lot of top dressing and stuff. The reality is for a moderately sized plant, 13 gallons of soil or 10 that's in the earth box probably will get you most of the way there. Maybe one top dress, sprinkle some shit on the top, but you'll probably get most of the way there.
Graded parm.
flour. Yeah.
Yeah. Little, get your
what I do.
microplane out, grate it on the top, a little dusting, you're great. No problem.
But
And that's what I tell
Just
them.
say, that's what I do. I go to my plants. I just go, say when.
Yeah.
But
They
no,
never
I mean,
talk back, which, well, probably explains why some of the
Yeah.
plants I have, but
That explains my cheese budget every month.
But that, so not only with the organics and stuff like that, but I know there's another thing that you tend to nerd out about and have a lot of knowledge is your lighting.
yes.
I know when I first got into growing, right, you would watch all these people and it's like, all right, at this stage of the plant, it's got to be at this ppfd, right? Then this stage. And then once you get in flower, you've got to be pushing it at 1,000 ppfd. You got to, crank your light up and get that going. And that's how I did a lot of my old grows. And I think that's how a lot of people think. They're like, all right, I'm here. It's in flower and I'm fucking blasting it. You have a different view.
It kills me with some of that advice. And this is where I got very lucky again from that welcome to the grow tent community. Introduced me to the start of my love of lighting. There was a guy in there and he was the lighting expert. He was a synthetic grower, but he was really big into lights. He was so particular. Like he would do seedlings and veg under T5s. Sometimes he would even swap out some of the T5 bulbs with a different color bulb. And knew like what lux meant and stuff, like these different properties of lights. And that's where it started for me. I was like, and like how to recognize the plant. Like when you start seeing like the purple stems and you start seeing the interveinal chlorosis or cirrhosis that you see, the yellowing and stuff. Like you used to see like the yellowing on the leaves and like you see it, there's a distinctive pattern. Like everyone is telling, like you go on Reddit or something, people are like, oh, more CalMag, and they're not necessarily wrong. They are right that there is a deficient, that the plant's outrunning something. They don't understand the why that it's outrunning it. And it's like, just turn your fucking light down. Like that's all you have to do. Stop hitting the gas pedal on a plant that doesn't want to go that fast. Stop. Yeah. And that's where I kind of learned it from the beginning, but now it's just taken a whole different approach. But I started out, and I'm not perfect. Every run I have every plant's different. If you have more of like it's kind of hard to say this even more now for how much everything's hybridized, but like if you have the more narrow leaning varieties, they love the shit. Like you put tangy under a bunch of light, it's going to love the shit out of it. You put drowsy under a lot of light, it's going to give you the finger. They're just two different beasts. The tall, lanky, thinner leaf plants love a lot of light. The shorter, squat, bushier ones do not like a lot of light. And some are extremely finicky, but a lot of people don't like realize it. They think that a lot of that advice of turn the dial at 25% at 18 inches away from the plant during this stage. And then, they listen to these, like some of these lighting manufacturers' recommendations for this of different growth stages. And they completely ignore the fact of why any of that matters. They just follow that. And like, I can't fault them. It's kind of like me following the build a soil way. It's like, I don't just tell me what to do. I don't think about it. And that will get you somewhere. But yeah, with lighting now is like I'm glad I learned early on how to recognize how the plant's responding to light and like a lot of people are like, oh, that purple is just the sunburn. Yes, but why does it have sunburn? Why is it trying to protect itself? Think about that a little bit. And actually, it's not only intensity, it's even the light spectrum, the wavelengths can cause it as well. So like, it's not cut and dry of it's too much light. It might also be, as I'm learning to do like the spectrum tuning stuff, it's also the wavelengths that are in the light as well can cause it naturally, which means you have to respond a little differently with how you treat that plant as well. You don't let it try to respond to a stress and not address the stress. You may keep your light the same, but you're going to have to give that plant a little something different to work with that stress.
Help it pull through, yeah.
I just watch out for all that. Or like I used to be, and now I'm not so much anymore just because my lighting schedules don't match my lifestyle too much to see lights go out. But like even if you see that your plant's starting to droop a couple hours before lights out, for me, my philosophy is that you have outran what that plant needed It's done. It's going to bed. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, but that's just the plant naturally detecting the rhythm and stuff. Yes, plants kind of do that. At least this is my thoughts. Plants do kind of do that, but if it's within like a half hour or an hour before lights out, perfectly fine. They're anticipating. If it's a couple hours beforehand, no, you outran what that plant could do in a single day. Cut back the light a little bit. You want, and that doesn't mean it's taking up the light. You're wasting that time that the light's on, because if light changes, if leaves change in shape or direction, the plant is responding to something and it means something. And if they're drooping or curling or something, they're trying to most of the time they're trying to combat some stress like light or heat. If they're just drooping a few hours before lights out, but they're not drooping the rest of the day, it's done. It's like saying, give me less light. I don't want to expose as much as my solar panels to the light. Then fine, cut back the light. You're wasting energy and you're stressing the plant. Stop doing that.
When you say cut back, are we talking time frame or are we talking
No, cut back the intensity.
Okay.
Cut back just a little bit.
A big thing that you always preach is turn your fucking lights down. Give us if you were to generalize it, right? Let's say what people would say is supposed to be in seedling, veg, and flower. You're saying turn it down significantly, right?
It depends on what's going on. Like for me, I also run, like, I don't max out beyond 750 ppfd on a photo in a run, where like people are running 1,000, 1,200, even without CO2. Like they're just balls to the wall, just going at it. And I think that can work, especially like you also have to look at who's giving you this advice. Are they primarily synthetic growers that can give that high octane fuel all the time? Then fucking go at it. I don't care what you do. Like, that's fine. But you're going to an organic grower is going to, especially when they're in 5-gallon pots, is going to try to apply that same reasoning. It doesn't work out too well. Depending on what your expectations are. If you're fine with a plant getting a couple weeks into flower and starting to show that it's stressed, and you're fine with just carrying that on, you don't care because you get flower. Because again, we have to realize you're going to get flower in the end. Yeah. It's a weed. You can burn that thing to hell. You're still going to get some flower. You can abuse the hell out of it. But if you care about what quality it is, or how much yield, or structure of the buds, or anything like that, then you start paying attention to like backing off a little bit. And that's where I learned that especially because I don't try to, I'm actually actively trying not to grow big plants now. Like that's what I'm trying to get to that now. Because I do believe that there's this, and I'm learning a little bit more about this, but I forget what they call it, like quantum yield or something.
Like a diminishing return.
You get at some point, like you can't keep on pushing out the yield. And this is what like the commercial facilities don't get. It's like because they run on razor thin margins, they have to push out as much as they can, especially if they're trying to like make up for a bad grow or something, which they can never have a bad grow. So they have to push out as much as possible. I don't need to push out as much as possible. I want to push out the best quality. And if that means instead of getting 8 ounces, I might get 5, fine. Like I'd rather have that 5 high quality ounces. It's probably going to make me feel better. It's going to get me higher. It may not be looking as much in jars, but I may have to consume a little. Well, I already have to consume less, but maybe even less than that. It's getting so bad. I'm the one smoking the lowers on the plant now. But yeah, just turn it down a little bit. But there is like a certain point where I'm also learning that you can't turn it down too much. Because I was actually this last run with Joint Custody's Black Bourbon, I already had it down to a low enough level, and I was still seeing light stress. And I'm like, what is the fuck? They're in 23-gallon beds. They're these smaller plants, and the lights is turned down low. Like, what's going on? And I started doing some research. I got some advice from another community, and really there's like, yes, turning down your light will help with if your intensity was already too high. If your intensity is not high enough, that also can be a problem because the plant's not signaling. So like the whole way this works is that plants have exudates that tell the microbes what it needs. And the microbes are the little workers that says, fine, I'll go get it for you. if you're not pushing it hard enough, it's not going to do that. And it's so like if it's really needing calcium or magnesium, and the light's not high enough, it's still sending out the exudates and still telling the microbes it needs it, but not at a high enough amount.
Okay.
So it's kind of like when you're like, you get that crappy old car and you're driving, and if you go like too slow, it dies out on you. And that's kind of what's happening. It just dies out on you, and it's not getting enough. And sure as shit, like there's like a couple of people said, turn your light up just a little bit more. It seems counterintuitive. Just turn it up a little bit more. And it wasn't much. And it was like, shit, the problems started going away. I'm like, no fucking way. So what I did learn, now I'm like it's just kind of cool. Like it's really like all this advice, it's in the context of what you're trying to do.
It's learning
and
the
so
plant.
like
Ultimately, you have to learn to read the plant.
You do.
That's the trickiest thing.
And a lot of people don't, and I totally get that. Like you have to nerd out. That has to be like something you really want to do is nerd out. Like no one's going out in their garden and analyzing the leaves of their tomato plants and shit. And if that's just the type of thing you're doing, fine. But if you really want to start going down that rabbit hole, that's when you start digging into reading the plant and learning about it. And like with the lighting now, it's like it started with me learning about intensity. And then it started into coverage in a tent. And then now it's branching into spectrums. And so I had some pretty cool results. That black bourbon run I was wondering why the hell did this thing finish on like day 54?
I think it was one of your quicker photos.
The quickest photo that I grew that thing almost in the time of an auto. And I'm like, holy shit, like what happened? And it makes sense. Like I started using so Grandmaster LED sells these booster bars and they fit. So my 1 4x4 tent's all Grandmaster LED, and I had their 4x4 light, and nicely in between the bars, I can fit their booster bars right in there. And so they sell all sorts of wavelengths. And I talked with him and he recommended 2, which was the 450 nanometer, which is just a blue light. It gives you a lot more blue. It increases the blue ratio in the light. And I use that for veg and stretch and at the end of flower. And like during veg and stretch, it changes the morphology of the plant. It'll keep it's supposed to combat stretch, and decrease like the internodal spacings and stuff. And because without it, that light with the red that's in there, my first run with the base light, I had huge stretching and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And it's because of the red that's in there. And a lot of people want that stretch because then you're not like trying to get all the light through this really dense canopy. You can get more light. And especially now with like everyone introducing under canopy lighting and stuff. And, but putting the blue in there helps. And then but what caused the shorter flower time was the 2200K booster bar, which is it has a lot of orange and red in it, fall colors. And it was like, and it was Badger that, like, I was like, how the fuck did this finish so quick? Like I had to pull it because it was just turning amber too quick. Like it was done. It was beautiful. It turned like the plants almost turned black on me. It was so purple. It was almost black. And I'm like, this thing is done. I can't push it any further. I'm going to start getting nanners. Why is it finishing so fucking quick? I have no wiggle room on this thing. And Badger was the one because I was talking about the lights and stuff. And Badger's like, cuz you introduced fall. Like it knew from that spectrum, because what happens in fall, like not only does the day get shorter, the light spectrums do change for the angle of the sun and stuff. And I was like, no shit. And that's what I'm finding with like, people that use like, HPS and metal halides, the spectrums that are in there are also like reporting shorter flowering times when you use those lights. And it's really, the spectrum matters a hell of a lot. Now it doesn't matter where I have to like every day tweak it by a couple percentage, or you don't do that, but there's like some general base principles that if you follow it, you will get a better representation of that plant, like it was growing under HPS or metal halide, which I don't think anyone, as far as quality, can like. I have not seen anyone say it does. Like those bulbs don't produce better quality flower. Like I wouldn't say better. They do produce overall better quality flower than, say, some cheap
LED
Chinese light off of Amazon.
Okay.
But LEDs in general are getting a lot better to match it. So I can't say like better anymore because LEDs are getting better to match them, but they were like the gold standard for
a long time,
good
right?
quality flower.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why people still use them. Like Mass Medical still has, I mean, he has his whole metal halide bulb line,
Right.
and he still does everything under that. And it's because spectrum does matter. And that's why, like,
a lot of electricity, though, don't
they do. They're fucking stupid, expensive to run, and they have to be replaced every couple runs. I think they start losing. I forget. So their efficiency and output start changing over a couple runs. Where like LED, you can get like 15,000 hours on one of those things, which no one I've yet heard like has ran their lights long enough before replacing them to even hit that limit of what the diodes can do.
Yeah.
But the halide bulbs, you have to replace them more frequently. So that's always a cost sink, and the heat as well.
And
like,
heat,
so you're gonna pay for HVAC stuff to get rid of that heat, especially if you're growing in tents. That's why it works better. And like if you in your room, it would probably work pretty well, but in that tent, it's not going to work so well.
Yeah. That, I mean, I struggle. I'm already starting to get into that season where it's like the humidity starting to bump up. I'm going to run a dehumidifier that's in my room. I'm run one outside my room, and then the heat. Once the heat starts, it starts to be a struggle.
That's why I'm also scaling down my tents right now. I have 3 tents I grow in usually. And so the 2x4 bed tent with the bed that I just chopped, I may not start that this summer. And then the small pot tent after this night owl is pulled, I may not start that until September either, because it's getting expensive running all these damn things. And I can't even imagine people running these bulbs that have to disperse that heat or run AC and stuff. It's bad enough that I'm running these lights with a dehumidifier because that's not cheap. And I'm watching and I'm running my AC, and shit, it sucks in the summertime. So I think I'm going to scale down when I'm barely running my AC and my electric bill is already starting at like $300. It's like, I'm not, those tents are getting turned down. There's no way. I'd rather stay cold and have less flour than to have less cash in my pocket and maybe not run the AC as much.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Well, before we get off the light topic, do you have any, let's go with like, say the basic size tents, like a 2x4 and a 4x4. Do you have what you would recommend somebody on a, like a cheap light if they needed to, and then maybe a more expensive light that you would recommend to somebody?
It's always other than like, I'll go with brands, because I generally think if you stick with the brands, you're probably going to find what you're looking for. And right now, I'm still big into the products themselves from Migro. I started with Spider Farmer Quantum boards, and then I went to Medic Grow's like Quantum board-ish mini sunlights. And then I went to Migro, and Migro is the one that I've been running the longest. I still run it in one of my 2 tents, my pepper tent and my small pot tent. Love their lights. And they're a good for the price. And that's really Shane's from Migro's thing is you also have to like look at the information he puts out, and you have to kind of you have to listen to it in the context of where he's coming from, which is to make higher quality lights that are very efficient. And that means something, because that means he's going to decide not to do some things, or he may give you recommendations that seem different than one of these other higher end manufacturers do. And that's fine. So if you're just getting into growing, and you're trying to be on somewhat of a budget, but you don't want the absolute shittiest thing, I absolutely recommend Migro. 2x4s, 4x4s, whatever. I have particular lights. For the 2x4s, you don't have a choice. There's only one light. Although I think he's redoing his whole product line yet again. And so there may be a different light, but their Array 4 is a very solid light that covers the tent. It is a little underpowered. Like it's 250 watts. So like I'm running it in the Night Owl tent right now. and it's a little underpowered. You have to get really close with that light to get the intensity you want on the plant. So, I mean, it is a little underpowered. I think like 2x4 should have like 300 watts in them, and you're probably not going to use 300 watts, but you sometimes need a little more than 250. If you're running autos, the 250 is just fine.
Doing like a
it's the
single light, or you
photos.
think better of like splitting off?
I see. That's also why I get them. Is like it depends on how people are growing. If they're going to grow just one plant or two plants of the same strain, or two plants of the same morphology, like the same structure, then having a single fixed light is fine. The problem I have is I don't grow two things that are the same usually. Sure. And even like right now, like in the night owl tent, the Array 4 is really, this is the way, like this was his kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call it genius, but this is the way that kicked off his company is that he really started off with the Array 2, which is just 2 bars. And he figured out how to make bigger lights with that. And so like the Array 4 for a 2x4 is just 2 Array 2s. The lights for a 4x4, or at least what it was, is just 2 Array 4s. And the Array 3 was the oddball because it just had it was the same as 3 bars and just had longer bars, but it was still the same kind of concept. And that really is pretty cool because the components, the structure, the engineering were all very similar for him. But what it does allow me to do is, since it is just 2 Array 2s attached with just a bar in the middle, you can take that bar away and treat them independently. And that's what I do now. Like I had Tangy Rainbows and the Night Owl Tester in the same tent. The Night Owl Tester's in a 3 gallon, so it got quite a bit taller, but the Tangy was a little shorter. And so, yeah, I got to adjust the lights and make the heights the same. And I did that when I was running multiple different strains in the 2x4 with the bed, is I have 2 medic grows in there. Same concept. I can move them up and down. But in general, like if you want a budget light that is not shit and you can kind of trust the guy that's behind it, I always go for like the Migro recommendation. You want the higher end one. Well, that's like the stage I'm at right now. And I have yet to see, like everyone has their, like everyone has their brands that they really like that are higher end. For me, it's the Grandmaster LEDs. I do fanboy a little bit with them. Mostly because before I even bought the lights, Thomas from GML, he was super helpful on Instagram. I also find like if you can talk to people that are working there and they're invested in helping you out, and you're just a small home grower, you're not even a commercial facility, that says a lot. How they back their products is another thing. So that's also why I liked Migro, is because of how much he was doing about lighting in the community. He was like the first one really talking about lighting and rating lights and trying to educate the community about lighting. He was like the main voice that if you were searching YouTube for lighting stuff, he was always coming up. So that's one of the other reasons why I went with Migro, and it's kind of just transferred into GML now. But then if you look past the people, their lights are, in my opinion, fucking awesome. And they're just only getting better. He really cares about having the best product. It's not there are people that just use a lot of components and charge a lot. And then there are people that want they'll charge like these fucking Gorilla lights that just came out. They're stupidly expensive that don't seem anything special. They actually seem like a marketing gimmick because they're just a rebranded kind LED light. I mean, that's really what they see. They like painted it gold and black, and it's basically the same style that the kind LED lights were, which are owned by the same company as well. I think they're Gorilla Kind and isn't there like another company that I think they're all owned by the same parent company, or one of those was the parent company. And like they're stupid expensive.
When you're buying like what is it, the Spider Farmer, and what's that other brand, Hydro,
Mars Hydro,
Mars Hydro, like I guess those are pretty much like
Mars Hydro are pretty good for like a budget light, I think. I would never recommend buying their expensive lights, but their budget lights are pretty good. But you have to look at what you're going to use it for, what kind of intensities are you getting. Their lights also are kind of spotty in the lighting coverage that they have as well. So like you have to look at that. And that's where I think like with Micro, all their lights are going to cover the size of tent that you think you're going to put them into. GML is very much the same way. They, at least that's like one of the things they want, is to give you a good enough average spread and not burn the middle of your tent and then your corners get like no light at all, which is just fucking dumb to me. I don't know, unless I'm growing only one plant and I have it directly in the center, the rest is just so silly to me. And that's why I like the GMLs as well. Is like all their lights are very uniform, but I also went with the one that is supposed to be, I mean, it's marketing. They claim it to be the most uniform tent light on the market. And I barely drop in the corners. Like if it's 1,000 in the center, it's pretty much 1,000 in the corners.
Sure.
It's super uniform. And the build quality, the 5-year warranty, like that's another thing you have to consider. Like, do you want to be replacing your lights? And then if something does go wrong, like what company is backing that warranty up for you? Or like I've heard horror stories about people with HLG, which is, I will never recommend HLG ever for many reasons, but they were innovators in the lighting space. Not so much really anymore. Thomas from GML, I think actually worked for HLG for a bit. That's where he kind of learned some of the engineering behind lighting.
There's a lot of drama in the lighting community.
There is more drama than I ever. Oh my God, the shit talking that goes on. It is
so much.
it is bad. I had to stop watching it because everyone's trying to make money in that space. Everyone has opinions about what's the best.
Sure.
But again, you have to go back and their opinions are you have to put it in the context of what they're trying to achieve. I mean, besides the fact they're all trying to achieve money,
right.
What is their engineering philosophy? Are they just producing a brand? Are they producing budget lights? Are they just wanting something really efficient? Or do they want something a bit higher quality? Like you have to really kind of listen to it in that. But my God, the shit talking that goes on, it pisses me off.
I never expected it.
And then they're just little babies. I like drama, but I even got sick of it recently. It's just like, I'm done. Like they would pull up people would put up an Instagram reel and then like talking shit and then take it down. And it's like, no, if you have the balls to put it up there, stand behind it. I do not. That's a coward. And then if you find out like you posted it and it wasn't right, or you've learned something, you've maybe talked to that person and you have a different opinion now, post a follow-up to that. You know what? You had the balls to bitch. Now have the balls to admit you were wrong. Yeah. I hate that so much. There's one guy that's like talking shit. And then if you really dig into it, every argument he made didn't hold water because he's running like he would like, oh, do you want Chinese lights? When all he's doing is running Chinese lights. That's where the lights are made. Like what's the cheapest? Like This is the whole problem is like, and I don't agree with that. I would love us all to make our own lights, but in that industry, when you're in lighting or electronics, the reality is that a lot of people are using Chinese manufacturers for it. They may engineer it and they may test it in another country, but a lot of times it's engineered in China. I don't agree with it, but that is the reality. Yeah. And like he was like, oh, you want a Chinese light? While he's like showing off pictures of his room with a Chinese light. It's like, what? And then you say like, oh, I dropped him. I'm not using him anymore. Now I'm using these other ones. And then you find out it's all because he's getting sponsored. Yeah. Which is also why, like, I mean, it's no, we don't hide the fact over on YAG that we're pretty anti-sponsor, anti-affiliate type things. And it's exactly for that reason. It's like you're pumping this thing out just because you got a free light.
Right.
And then you're ready to jump ship to it. And he did this like twice now, this one person that was causing drama. And it's like you jump ship to this other light and it's just because you got it for free. So if like you didn't know that drama behind it and some newcomer came across, they can't, they're trusting your word. But if you knew the person, their word means shit because they just got a free light. It just pisses. And they don't say that either. Like you have to kind of like piece the story together and look through past posts and the transgressions and the timeline. And like, then you realize, oh, that's what happens. Once they start like dumping that affiliate code out there, or they like do too many reels about one manufacturer. Like you start and they hashtag the shit out of things. Like you start realizing
that is tough. Definitely. I do see that in a lot of the cannabis, the creators and Instagram and this and that is, you'll see that happen. And it can be tough, man. I don't. It's a lot of these newer growers. They're like, oh, they see this person that's doing really well or this and that, and then they're like, oh, well, he's using that, so I'm going to go right for that.
I don't disagree with people that like in general get things to use from companies.
Sure.
Like, hey, I'm just saying there, GML, you want to give me a free light? Give me a free light. I'm your boy, but I will talk shit about your light if I find something wrong.
Yeah. No,
so like, that's just like, that's the thing. It's like, if you get honest. Something and there's people that get free things or they rep certain companies, and that's only because like the people I see doing that I respect, it's because they will talk shit if it's not right. They are doing it because they believe in it, not because they are given something for free or a discount or that they're getting a kickback. And that's fine. Do it. Like, I have no problem with people hustling and getting their stuff, and just be true to yourself and to the people while you're doing it. Don't compromise yourself, because once you do that, it's all downhill from there and it's just shit at the bottom. So you're just it all rolls downhill and you're going to be just the same as everyone else peddling shit out there. And it's just
code word. Why am I weeping for 20% off at Blunt Force Trauma?
Yes,
that's awesome. But yeah, that's my little sponsorship rant. Again, Thomas, give me a light. I'm here. But I think the future of anyways, really just to circle back on this one, Johnny, that's you. That's the first count. Budget light. If you want a high efficient and good budget light for any tent size, go look at Migro. All of them are fine. Just don't get their 4x4 light. Get the 5x5 light and put it in your 4x4 is my only recommendation. That's the confusing bit. But otherwise, go with that company. You want higher end and you want more. You want to have a good price point for a higher end thing. So far, Grandmaster LED. And if you really want to nerd out about lighting, get something that at least is multi-channel. So if it only has 2 channels between warm and cool, do that. That's fine. That'll get you where you get a 4-channel light, even better. Because I think like he's onto something, and I saw it with Migro, is that not Migro, the company, my last grow. And I used to call it was funny, I used to call it Migro for some reason.
I thought it was, yeah.
No, it's Migro. And it's like, oh, this makes so much more sense about the name now. I'm an idiot. So I noticed that the spectrums do matter. I have totally seen it. And I think it's absolutely right that if you can start mimicking metal halide and HPS spectrums with these lights, that you will have a better representation of the plant. Totally agree. I've seen it. So I think like it depends on what your level, like once you found, if you want a higher end light, ask yourself if you can go just a little bit beyond that and get you a spectrum tuning light. And they're getting cheaper this year because, Samsung is not going to make diodes anymore. So everyone's swapping. Everyone's like keeping a lot in stock for warranty repairs and drying up the amount of them. And everyone's switching to another brand called, I think, LED Star, which a lot of people are finding were even better than the Samsungs, but they were like a lesser known brand. Like the Samsung, you were paying for like the Nike swoosh logo. Like that's what you were doing. And so the LED Stars are more efficient. They're better, they last longer, and they're cheaper. And so you'll see that lighting prices may even go down. So you may, I think GML was talking about like, what was he saying? Like a $700 spectrum tuning 4x4 light, which is a fucking ridiculous good price for that. For an actual 4-channel spectrum tuning light. And so I'm excited to see that. And it's fun to play with that if you want to just take it a little more.
A little bit more, yeah.
Yeah.
I can dig it, man. Now, do you...
And we'll make sure to put Howling's affiliate link in the show notes.
I do not want affiliate links. I want no kickback. If I can, I like it like Sam Sauce. He just dropped an affiliate link, but he gets no kickback.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. If you want to give the community like a discount for something without a kickback, like I believe in that even more too. Like you don't have a reason, like they didn't have a reason to give a discount code. You have no reason to promote it. Like, but you do because you believe in something. And so that's awesome.
I hate sponsorships, but I love couponing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
couponing's fine.
With light readings, do you use anything like the Photone or for reading?
Oh, now yeah. So that's switched. I've learned quite a bit about those too.
Now you fucked up.
Yeah, now you fucked up. Let's go on this rabbit hole now. So Photone is kind of like, I consider in the realm of following like the build a soil schedule. It's like, it's going to get you in the ballpark. It's probably going to work most of the time.
A consistent inconsistency.
I couldn't even find the consistent inconsistency in it.
Really?
So like anyone that's listening and haven't used this app, use your camera phone, you put a diffuser, which used to start with like, you can still do it. It's just a strip a piece of paper over the top, or you have what like Grateful has is that piece, this plastic piece that acts as the diffuser. So a lot of people start with the paper first. That's what I started with. And then I found we'll just go in first about diffusers. I found a problem with like the weight, which I think just translates to the thickness maybe of the paper. The paper matters. I think
it's got to be,
and so that's inconsistent. Yeah. So like, and you grab like a sheet of printer paper. Well, if you bought that cheap printer paper, it may not be the weight that it needs to be, or you bought like the ultra high bright white HP printing paper that's super thick, so like colors don't bleed and stuff. That's going to alter it.
Yeah.
And then you go to the plastic diffuser, which is definitely a big step up, and I have that. But so at least the material that's diffusing is always going to be consistent. It's always the same thing. I even found like wrinkles in the paper where we're changing the values because it would just shade out just a little bit of the light absorption. But then I found like smudges on your camera or something also alter it because that's acting, the oils and stuff are acting as like another diffuser. So like, so this is where like there are so many variables in just that was really annoying me. But then if you really think about it, they're not true photo and like they're not true sensors for PAR. What they're doing is they're converting lux to PAR, which is I forget. I'm not going to get into that. So it's
that's for
every lighting source can be measured by lux, and I think it's just the visible light output or something like that. And then there is a formula you can apply depending on spectrum that can get you in the ballpark of what the actual PAR, the photosynthetic range is. And Shane from Migro did the same thing where like he found with what they quote unquote full spectrum LED lights, which is usually 3400 to 3500K temp lights, found that using this Unity lux meter, that if you, I think if you multiply the number by like 0.17, it'll give you a rough estimate about PAR, which was pretty close to what Photone was giving you as well, because that's all they are is lux meters. Okay. So that's great when, let's say that you ignore all the variables that made Photone very inconsistent for me. If you remove all those variables and it was always consistent, it still wasn't what I found with the Grandmaster LED. It worked fine with the micro lights. It worked fine for the Metagrows. I never had a problem. When I started trying that same thing, my first run under the Grandmaster LED light, I was fighting light problems, even though Photone was telling me that it's not a light problem. What I found out,
you were fighting with,
the spectrums fuck with it now.
Yeah.
So if you're starting it's good for the average light that is a full spectrum light. It's probably pretty good for that. But once your lights start having different ratios of like red and blue and green and stuff, like things start changing with how it reads it. So I finally splurged and got the Apogee sensor. And I noticed about a 20% difference between them. It was pretty stupid. Photone was reading higher than what Apogee was, or not, reading lower than what Apogee was reading. So I was thinking I'm sitting under 700 PAR in flower, But what really it was with like Apogee, it'd be like 900. And it's like, so no wonder I'm fucking outrunning shit. Yeah. It was totally off. And then it got even worse when I used those booster bars, which definitely changed the ratios of the light and the color temp of the light. And so I did finally splurge for the Apogee. But again, that's only when you want to start nerding out. No beginner grower. And I did not own one. I've been growing now for 3 years, and I just got one this year. So it is definitely not one of the first things to pick up, but if you want to get to knowing your light more, it's a fun toy, and it helps me out quite a bit.
I can dig it, man. And definitely one of the things that I also want to talk about, and speaking about how you were able to do the different, lighting styles with adjusting your lights, you masterfully grew that Drowsy times 91 grapefruit, and it was a beast, dude. It's still, I tried to join in on you. We were going to start them together. I was going to start mine inside the bed, and I had this big, huge, grand plan. I was going to do Ganix, F2. I was going to do the Drowsy, and then I was going to do the 91 grapefruit, and I ended up screwing it up so bad. I ended up ripping out the 91 cross and putting a little bonsai, and it's a tangy cross, right? And then every time you get something tangy, you're like, oh, here's tangy to fuck me over again.
Every fucking time.
Over, dude. She took over.
It was sad what she did to the Drowsy next to her. I regret planting those two together. Not regret it. I can't say they both turned out great, so I can't regret that. In hindsight, it would have been awesome only to do the cross in the one tent. And even then, I think if I got the full space, I even then think the 2x4 was too small. She was big and she was cramped. I was trying to open her up just a little bit more just to get light in there, because she wanted to really grow out of her both horizontally and vertically. Yeah. I'm glad that she stopped growing as tall as she did, because I didn't have much more room to work with. I'm running where that tent is. It's one of the shorty AC Infinities. It's only the 6 foot one. Okay. And so my problem is that I'm finding is, which is awesome, I'm going to try to change my growing style in that tent, is with the beds on the tray, I'm already losing a lot of height. Sure. And then I'm already in a short tent. So I'm really running out of space to grow a plant, which is why next round I think I'm going to try scrogging. Okay. I'm going to try it. We'll see. I like using training. I like using the clips and stuff, and that works well, but I'm going to actually try full out scrogging. I'm going to build up a frame around extend the frame of the bed and do a scrog net and try that out next time, because height's always been an issue when you get that tangy in there. Yeah. And this thing was just inches away from the light. It was worrying me a bit. I'm glad it stopped. And it was a beautiful plant. I mean, that thing didn't complain about anything, just grew. I have nothing bad to say about that one. I actually had a little trouble with the Drowsy one more than the cross. Yeah.
That tangy gets in there and just bullies everything.
You cannot. I have yet to see someone run a tangy or a tangy cross that didn't show tangy of something. It is a very strong genetic component in that one. Definitely. And it certainly was in that cross. I don't know, have you found any, you did a lot of crosses with that 91 grapefruit. Did you find any of those crosses to be on the shorter side, or they all show the tangy traits?
I would say they're all kind of leaning towards those tangy traits. The stuff that I've specifically grown myself have been the true, the F2s. So I grew a couple of those, of course, the big one in the earth box. And then I've done, I did a couple of the mandala crosses. And they all wanted to get big. The Yagmi that I had was she was a shorter out of the bunch of the Mandala effect crosses, but she just she looked like a tangy, just had that structure and just wanted that big main coal coming up, and then they were just stacking. And my problem was I didn't even think at the time. I had my humidity up, and unfortunately she ended up getting bud rot even before any of the pistils started to retract or anything. They were still just just at the end of the Guy Fieri stage, right? Like where it's really starting to like go from all those white hairs and starting to stack on. And it got fucking bud rot, and I never got to take that through. But yeah, I mean, everything that I've noticed has been big, and everything that, I've had a handful of people that have grown them out, to completion, and Nerd's been one of them where, in small pots, and they all get fucking huge. So they take a long time vegging. They take a long, you're looking at any of these crosses I've noticed, a majority of people are going a minimum of like 80, 90, 100 days. All right. Like they just seem like they're on the longer side, which I'm not a huge fan of, but because I start getting after 84 days, 90 days, I'm like, all right, we got to start, cycling down here. Like it's your time. You got to go. But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun to mess around with this, and I want someone to a lot of work.
I want someone to put one of those into a 30-gallon pot outside and grow it.
Well, we're gonna get to see a very interesting, and I'm actually super stoked because Nerd, you'll be coming. We're going out to Johnny's for the 4th of July. There's a whole bunch of us that are going to hang out at the orchard. And on Instagram, he posted that video where he basically seed bombed his whole bed. And I am really stoked to see how that turns out for him, because he's going to have a whole bunch of plants in it, and he dedicated that whole bed to it. So I'm excited to see that. We might see.
He's going to have chaos. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
He seems to do really well with chaotic things. Like that's just his style, and
those areas. Yeah.
He seems to roll with it, and whatever chaos is thrown his way, he just rolls with it and figures it out.
I love it.
I admire that, because I freak out too much.
Yeah, my style is the chaotic style, but I'd still do, like, internally, I'm like, oh god, this is uncomfortable. This is what am I doing? Just kind of like I purposely abuse myself.
Yeah.
And, but I think it's not that, I always say that I'm lazy and that's why I don't do this or that. But not that I want to put minimal effort in, but I mean, a lot of these things, it's just they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and as long as I'm there to just make sure it doesn't fucking burn and die, it'll be all right.
My chaos more is I overcommit myself. I want to do too much. Like I've done this, and this is another reason why I think I'm spinning down these 2 tents for the summer. It's to give me a little bit of a reset. I'll still have the 4x4 going, but I think that's it. And that'd be the first time I've only had 1 tent going since I first started growing. I think I quickly went to 2 tents after I first started growing. So I think this may be the first time I'm back to 1 tent, because this Tangy Rainbows thing. I started like 4 of them and thinking I was going to run. No, I didn't. I ran 2. I had to call 2 of them, and I made that choice. But then I did the same thing with the Night Owls. I started up. I'm going to do 4 different pot sizes. Yeah. Luckily, I didn't make this choice. Luckily, nature made this choice that they're testers. They started throwing some nanners. It just is what happened. Yeah. So 3 of the 4 got called, but it was the best. I'm glad nature did that for me and told me to pump the brakes a little bit, because I was getting in over my head with that. And then I did the same thing with the fucking peppers now.
Yeah.
Because we have like the cross between the Alabrije Discord and the Yag Discord. We have like this pepper hot sauce thing going on.
Yeah.
And we have Sam over there helping along. And like, I think I got 2. Peppers. Yeah. And I got a little too ambitious. I was like, I'm going to start all these peppers. I'm going to run some of them indoors. Once again, overcommitting myself. And now I've decided that I'm probably not going to run any peppers indoors.
Okay.
I'm calling some of them. I'm going to put them outside. I think that's my chaos. It's like, once they're established and I have something growing, I don't introduce too many variables and it's not chaotic. But leading up to that, my God, I suck. I want to do it all. I want to do it quickly. I always feel like I'm racing a clock. And
yes, I feel the same way. That's the thing that I'll do is I don't have all these plants packed in there, right? And I see all these potential spots,
opportunities.
Right? Yeah, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna start filling this in, and then everything starts growing. You're like, oh fuck, I don't have as much space as I thought.
I'm even that way now. Like today, I'm probably gonna chop a plant that's perfectly healthy. But in my 4x4, what I like to do is, so I have 2 beds, and I'm only planting 1 plant, which I learned. This is my 3rd run. I learned after the first run, I will only plant 1 plant per bed. But I plant 2 seeds of each of those plants because I picked the strongest to go in. And the other ones I don't want to get rid of just yet. So I put them in a smaller pot, and I think maybe I'll run those. And so I have
policy.
Yeah. And but now it's like, okay, everything in the beds are going fine. And I have this duplicate plant of, it was Mass Medical's Blue Lotus. Like I have another one that's in a small pot, and I'm like, okay, that cost me some money for that seed. I could keep it going, and I could put it in this corner of the 4x4. And that's what previous me would have told myself. I think what I'm going to do is chop it, because I rather focus on the 2 plants I have and the fucking 90 micron crossed with whatever. I forget the cross of it.
I think that's a Tangy Rainbow.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It is Tangy. I was going to say that. I'm like, but I talked about Tangy Rainbows enough. Maybe it's not that. But yeah, it's a 90. It's a photo. Rainbows, dude. Yep. It's a photo of 90 micron crossed with Tangy Rainbows. And I'm glad that I'm deciding to cull some plants, because I got that one in there as well in a small pot. And I'm trying to reduce the chaos. Like, I want to focus on a few things and do them well, rather than try to do it all at once.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things this year I'm trying to do is stop listening to myself. Just because there's a space does not mean a plant has to go in that space.
Yeah.
Give the existing plants room to spread out and breathe, and don't try to get mold again by trying to do shit like that.
Yeah. So you're shutting down some of your tents, and we'll hopefully be getting ready for a breeding project soon, right?
Yeah, that was another thing that, again, I was getting in over my head, and luckily I didn't start. That's the one thing I'm very grateful for, is I told myself I had to. Yeah, there we go. I had to break the news. So Ali Brihe and I really like Somoso OG. It was a favorite of others that had tried it. Very great, very beautiful plant. One of my favorites of his. And it's a very broad leaning plant.
Yeah. I've grown out a couple of them. They were really great.
When he says like at higher doses, it's like narcotic, it absolutely is. It'll kick you in the nuts and put you in your place. And I like that. And so what we first talked about was, so the primary thing we were going to do is I was going to learn how to do a reversal. And so we were going to do a seed preservation project. So he sent me some of his extra Somoso seeds, so that way I can find a male, have recipients, or not find a male, but reverse a couple and have recipients. But then so I'm still going to do that. Like, that's going to be part of this. But the thing that's getting bolted onto that is the breeding project. I'm slinging pollen. Somosa is great. What could we do here?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why not? If this thing is so heavy, why not cross that for the thing they call Purist Indica? And that's the Northern Lights. I think number 1 or number 5, one of them. I forget what the numbers. I think number 1. I think it's as it goes up, it's more narrow leaning as it goes up. I think number 1 is the Purist, and then the number 10 or something is the more narrow leaning side. And 5 is like a hybrid kind of thing. I think it's the rating scale of them. But we're going to cross Somosa with the Purist Indica. And I was supposed to start that earlier this year, and I kept on putting it off. I didn't clear out a spot for the tent. Mostly it's because anytime I start something new, I have I always have low confidence. I have extremely low confidence, which creates a barrier for me to start, because I overthink things and then I procrastinate and I just don't want to do them. There's a bunch of anxiety that builds up. So that pushed it off a little bit. And actually, thankfully, because I was in the season of overcommitting myself. This is when the Tangy Rainbows thing was going on. This is when the Night Owl stuff was going on. Like, I didn't need and I bought all the tent stuff to do this breeding project. And I'm like, I don't need to add another thing to this. Yeah. And then luckily I procrastinated enough about it that when I started, I created like a quick Excel sheet to say, like, if it sprouted here, these are the dates I have to do the sprays for the reversal. And it would not match up with my life. And I'm like, there's no way I could do this. I would have to skip days for spraying or miss them entirely or something. Like, that's not going to be a great project for my first time doing this. I shouldn't do that. Yeah. So I had to have the hard conversation with Ali Brihe that I was postponing it. luckily he was totally understanding because he's also been overcommitting himself with all his various projects. So we were kind of like on the same page, and he's also cutting back on a lot of things as well. And so like cool, we're on the same page with this one. So I think what I'm going to do, so that's going to be anything that's like small pots, requires hands-on work with, is the thing that's going to run in the fall and winter months. I think that's just going to be my general rule now. Like, I take away from the joy of like summer. Like, we waited all year to get to summer. Why am I going to ruin it with stress of this shit? So I think I will always have my 4x4 running, because since it's the beds and stuff, it's mostly hands off, and photos are just easy and they just run. So I'll always have that going year round, but my autos and my 2x4 bed tent, I think, may only run in the winter months or the cooler months. And so that's probably when I'll pick up the breeding project, at least an aspect of the breeding project in the fall. What I'm thinking I would like to do first, the original idea was that I would sling pollen. Like, Samosa would spew all over the Northern Lights, and whatever happened. Yeah. I may pick up another pack of Northern Lights. I may not start the actual pollinations project and the seed preservation project until early, like maybe next January.
Okay. But
before that, I may do a pheno hunt and just try out, because I also got Stony Night Owl Reserva Primavera. I forget the name. Pravada, yeah. He vouched for
Primavera.
There you go. He vouched for this seed company. I wouldn't call them breeder. Maybe they do make their own crosses, but one of the things that they're known for is getting either pheno hunting things themselves or getting a breeder's cut and then making seeds. Okay. And so they actually have Dosido. And so that's the strain that got me into smoking. It's the strain I've been hunting for. I don't know if it's still the strain that my brain would like now, but I'm willing to try. So it's supposed to be a S1 of the actual archive Dosido breeder cut. And it was from a company that Stoney vouched for. I think he's used a lot of their seeds in his projects, and I think it's also seeds that I think he said got him into breeding in his early breeding career. So I'm like, fuck, if it has his stamp of approval, I'll try it out. So I want to do a pheno hunt for Dosido. I'm like, well, maybe I'll pick up a pack of the Northern Lights that I was planning on crossing anyways, and just fuck around with that pack and do a pheno hunt of that one. And if it turns out that I find one out of that pack I like, and I learn how to make cuts and clones and stuff, maybe that's what's going to be used for the breeding project. And
I'm excited, dude. I'm really
excited. I think, it's going to be fun once I actually get into it. And then I think the plan is I'm going to make seeds of that, and Alabrije is going to hunt it. And then if it turns out to be something that was meant to be crossed, then maybe take it a few generations and make it an auto. And we'll have a Alabrije stamped Northern Lights cross.
Fuck yeah, dude.
In auto form.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see the progression, watch the project.
It's gonna be a shit show. It's gonna be a shit show, and I'm
right. It can't have it any other way.
Yeah, I'm a little scared. I haven't decided this, but also while doing the pheno hunts in the fall before this project, I may try reversing an auto one time. Okay. That's not so moso. Just so I could get into it and I'm not burning up an auto, or I don't want to waste these seeds. Sure. And I don't want to I don't want to burn them up or miss days or not get things pollinated right because I did something stupid. I'm also, anytime it involves chemicals, I'm a little paranoid. And when I'm paranoid, I'm a paranoid grower. Ha! There we go.
Yeah, we did it. We did it.
And then I nerd out about it a little bit too much. And I couldn't forget you, nerd. And then I don't want to get into that where I overthink and cause a mistake. And when it comes with like chemicals and you have to like a lot of people say, like, bring them into a bathroom and spray them down, but you have to wear gloves and long sleeve shirts and masks and stuff. Like, I start getting very paranoid about that. And that's when I start overthinking and making mistakes. I don't just follow my gut.
Sure.
And maybe if I do that one time and I get all those nerves out of me when it's not the real, I don't shoot my load too early and it's just a warm up for what will come next year. I may try to do that. That goes against everything I've done before, which has been very chaotic and all in at once. That's how I started growing. I mean, I started growing in a 4x4 with like 5 plants, 2 photos, 3 autos. I even had, I think, like some sunflowers growing. And like that was my first grow. Like it's usually all in.
Yep.
I may stop stressing myself out. So after the Alebrije pop up in September in Chicago, I think that's when it's going to start, where I'll try to learn by doing these things before actual real project in early next year.
Well, if you don't have seeds that you want to waste, I would be more than
happy. Shit, I got more seeds that I know what to do with.
I will send you so many of 91 grapefruit and just thousands.
I just bought more too. I just bought Night Owl last night.
Oh, you did?
I did. I couldn't. Chemi Powers.
Okay.
Which I better, like Rev even said this one day. He's like, I better really like Blue Power because I now have Blue Power itself from Sin City. I have Blue Power Auto from Daz that he sent me.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's also why I did it, is because like just out of the love for the community and to help other people out, we had Daz on and he heard me talking about Blue Power. And he's like, I'll send you a pack of the autos because I couldn't get them anymore. It's like, that's awesome. He sent it to me and I'm like, and I think there was even another freebie. I have it in another room. I forget what it was. One that I've never heard of. And it was a tester pack. And I'm like, this is awesome. He didn't have to fucking do this. Yeah. So I want to support that. Even if I don't even have an immediate plans for growing anything, I still want to support what's going on here. And so the Chemi Powers, the way he described it and being very indica leaning and stuff, I'm like, yep, that's me.
That's him. Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to do it. But it is a Blue Power cross. And I now own the photo Blue Power, the auto Blue Power. I own that Blue Power cross. I own a few from Sin City as some of their freebies were Blue Power. I bought the Sin City Overpower cross, which has Blue Power in it. I bet, like Rev even said, you better really like this Blue Power.
Have you ever grown a Blue Power?
No, of course not. No. Why would I do that? No, why? Again, chaos. Like, why would I ever try something before going all in? And this has bit me before because like now I hate a certain breeder because I went all in before growing his shit. Sure. I can trust Daz. And because I trust Daz, since he selected to do the auto version of Blue Power, by extension, I can trust Sin City because he trusted Sin City.
Sure.
And trusted that Blue Power. So like, I'm not going in. I trust Daz a whole lot. And then I did a little bit of research to see if like, it's not all hype. And I don't think it is. I mean, it really, with Sin City, I actually, before all the Blue Power stuff, I bought the Sin City cookie mints or whatever.
Okay.
God, please tell me that's not a Blue Power cross. I don't think it is. But I bought that because I liked the name. I liked the name. I liked the parents of that one, which I can't even remember offhand. But I did get that before anything, so I already knew about Sin City. But through Daz, if he's trusting the strain and he's done, made the Blue Power Auto from it, and then used that also to cross with Chem 91, which is the Chemi Powers. Like, why wouldn't?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I trust that as well? So yes, I did go all in on this without ever growing a Blue Power before. I realize it can be a huge mistake, but as long as I grow it well, it's going to be something good to smoke. Like, really, it may not be exactly what I'm looking for, but I'm sure that it'll be something good that everyone enjoys.
Yeah. You may find something new that you really, really like.
Yeah. So I picked that up. So who knows? Maybe I'll do a reversal of one of those seeds. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
But I have more auto seeds than I know what the fuck to do with. And now that I'm going down just to the small pots to grow autos, I'll probably be growing them less frequently and they'll be very selective.
Sure.
So that stash is going to likely only grow a little bit, especially after I win the giveaway that you all have, and I get some BGG stuff too. So I'll have even more after that.
Automatically, sorry, I did tell you you're automatically disqualified with the answer that you first said. So sorry.
Billy loves fish.
I've always loved this little banter back and forth between fish. You know, it's not that I hate fish. It was just something I never really got into, man.
And the fun thing is I don't really even love fish that much. Like
it's just something like you just bust each other's balls just for the hell of it.
I used to actually, I had one of my good friends was a huge fish head. And my biggest joke, and this was before I even started really liking fish at all. They have the bouncing around the room song, which is like an intro song to Fish almost for me. Like that's what, if people don't know Fish, I always give them that song. I say, listen to this.
See, it's Farmhouse for me.
Farmhouse is another one. But that was my biggest joke is like, he would talk about Fish. I'm like, yeah, they only got the one fucking song bouncing around the room. How many times can they bounce around the fucking room? All right. And I slowly learned to like them. I use them as I don't want to say as a tool, but I am very intentional of when I listen to them. I don't listen to them just by chance. I'm not in the car and be like, yeah, I want to jam out to some Fish. Like that is not what I'm doing. I kind of lump them into like Dave Matthews, Fish, jam band. Like they are background music. They are stuff that I can go in and out of listening, and it doesn't matter where I'm going in and out of listening. It's sadly kind of all sounds the same almost, and I can just pick up from wherever I started listening again. So if I'm cooking or something, it's good for it in the background. I don't have to. There's no genius behind. Like there's genius playing. Like they're very good at playing, but there's no genius in the music. Like it's not mathematical. It's not like they're doing something wacky, or like they're not like your other favorite band, like Sleep Token, that has a bunch of styles in one song. They're not like a progressive rock band that like Dream Theater. I have to listen to a 15-minute song and know where the fuck are they going with this thing. And depending on when I start listening, it sounds like a whole different song, but I didn't listen to how it transitioned. No, Fish ain't that. Fish is just Fish. And just like Dave is just Dave. Yep. It's what, and I mean, I kind of lump, I mean, you're not going to like it, but I lump Billy into that a little bit too. It's like, I like when he does his guitar solos. Like, I think he is a phenomenal player. Yeah. But he also, it's just, you get the banjo and the guitar up there and they're just jamming away. And it's like, yeah, it's just another one of those things where Billy's a little different. Like I will select some songs to listen to, especially when he does his collaborations with some other people. Like I know, so there's a couple of women that you've shown that videos of where he's done songs with, and those I will intentionally listen to, but I will also just put him on in the background. And it's all those type of things. It's even like when you do like Slightly Stupid and those type of bands, it's just good feel music in the background, just kind of keeps you going with whatever you're doing.
You know, I can dig it. I mean, y'all know my love for Billy, and I'm super stoked. I actually just got poor nerd. Like I sent him a message. I was like, hey, do you think you could put up with Billy for 2 hours? And then I didn't hear anything for a little bit, and they had just dropped the fall tickets just went on sale yesterday. And then I noticed that there was a couple locations, right? There was like Jersey, there was New York, and then there was one in Albany. And I was like,
Billy is my style for live music. I've been to a lot of concerts and they're fun, but really my style that I have the most fun with is a small band with like a guitar, a singer, a kick drum, and in a bar. And like you stomp your feet, your foot just starts bouncing, and sometimes you kind of want to like bust the place up a little bit or something, but it's just like this music. And like I like Irish bands and stuff, and I used to like, even if I'm not drinking, just being at a festival or something where it's that type of vibe. It's get off your bar stool, your foot just starts stomping on the ground for some reason, and it's just, and I find Billy to be like that. Like, so that style of music, that is like my favorite. That type of music's my favorite to see live. So I think that's going to be fun for you all.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. You know, we've gone to a few different shows, Nerd and I am really excited to bring him, because I don't think that you've ever really done any bluegrass shows, if that would be a correct assumption. At least not a stadium bluegrass.
Not since I was little. So when I was like 14 or 15, I went to the Toronto Bluegrass Festival. Okay. And I used to go to like small performances and stuff. My grandparents were really in the bluegrass. So I definitely seen it live. It's not a genre that I seek out to listen to regularly. But yeah, seeing it live's always been awesome.
So being a bluegrass lover, what is your take on gangsta grass?
I'm not a big fan of them. There's certain bands, and I think it goes for all genres. It kind of falls under the novelty for me. It's cool and fun to listen to. You're like, you talk to somebody and they're, they either they say something like, they don't like it or this or that, or, they think it's only in this style. And you're like, but wait, look, check this out. Like there's a bluegrass band that covers all of Sleep Token stuff. There's bands that do have that mesh between, rap and bluegrass. So like it's got so many, and some people absolutely love it. And I love that. See, the bluegrass the people are able to find a way to weave it in and out of those other genres.
I think the thing for gangsta grass for me is that it's unique songs of theirs that mesh the styles. I think sometimes covers in a different style don't come across. Like, I don't know how a bluegrass band covering Sleep Token is going to work out so well, especially because like a lot of their, besides the singing, if you just think about the instruments, it's like a lot of drum and bass type feel to it. Sure. How are you doing that in bluegrass?
Well, I could explain it to you exactly how they would do that, right? I mean, depending on their style of playing, right? Like if you really think of a lot of how the bass players are playing, right? They do get into some percussion style, right?
Yeah.
They're slapping or just kind of how they're doing their leads. And really mandolin has a lot of that percussion type style. Like not only is it a lead instrument, but you will find that when they get into certain things, I mean, kind of like the traditional, like Bill Monroe and they like how his style when he created it, like only certain instruments would play at the same time, right? So you wouldn't have a violin and mandolin because they're at the same tuning, the same octave. You would never find a mandolin going at that, doing a lead while a violin was. The mandolin, if the violin was taking lead, that mandolin will go into doing chop chords. And that's definitely a lot more percussive where they're really just muted chords and just kind of just slamming on it. So I know I've sent you some of those Sleep Token ones. And I mean, it's not something I would really listen to, but it was definitely a cool take on like the country, bringing that country bluegrass from the metal, and they dress up.
Like I mean, thinking like the gangster grass, like I could never see someone like Jay-Z trying to cover a Billy String song. Like I think that would go badly, but like with the gangster grass, it was like their songs that mesh two styles rather than a style covering another. Like, I think those work out. I like them. Like as much as everyone, I mean, I have a lot of favorite bands. I can't say the number one, but in the top 5, at least 2 of them are a mesh of different styles. Where like what competes for like my number 1 is Linkin Park. I know people shit on it, but whatever. But they're all different styles that are in there. I mean, there's singing, there's rapping, there's DJs. Like it's all these different styles, and I really like when those come together. When they come together well, some of them come together like shit. I like when those things come together.
I can
kind of like when you have the DJ in 311. It's fucking awesome.
It's awesome. Triggering Rev anymore, man. Beating up everybody.
They are not in my top 5 though.
No. Yeah. Fair enough.
I've been listening to this Japanese band called Midori, and they play their 4-piece band, and it's like punk with like, I don't know if you call it jazz, kind of like a ragtimey. So it's it's like a punk band with a piano player and an upright bass player. Nice. And they go from being like kind of jazzy to really chaotic and back and forth.
Shit, you got to send me that. Actually, that sounds pretty fun. Yeah. What was the name of the band again?
Midori.
All right. So it's like they'll have like punk riffs where it's like just like thrashing, and then all of a sudden just kind of breaks into like this little jazzy.
Yeah, like little piano parts and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, man. Well, we are getting to the end of it here. I did have a few things that I wanted to bring up. Some of the like housekeeping stuff. We put out a couple videos, or actually, I think since we've been together, a couple videos. So we did that G3 reel, and that was
G3
funny,
collab.
Yep. That was a lot of fun. It was I was getting ready to plant some seeds. Of course, anytime I ever see anybody mention anything about the full moons or any of this stuff, my mind always goes right to G3 and how she preaches that type of stuff. So I messaged Nerd and Paranoid, and I was like, hey, I'm planting some seeds. We got to think of a funny reel to go about this because it's the full moon. And Nerd spat out a couple ideas, and one of the ideas was something with G3, and we were like, oh, this is perfect. Let's see if she's up for it. So I awkwardly sent her a message like, hey, I don't remember exactly how I said it. I don't really talk to her.
We have a script for you.
Yeah, like, hey,
we're pitching you a spec script we have.
Thinking about doing a reel shitting on the stuff that you believe in, and not shitting on it, but like saying I don't believe in it. And she was up for it. She's a really she's a great person. So I was excited to do that one with her. And then the giveaway, we've got that green guy giveaway, and Nerd just put out his video on that.
Where I made fun of howling in it.
we are terrible people.
Still looking for my joint.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I also am notorious for rolling very tiny J's. Like
by hand, at least. That's
So like I've smoked I think 4 times in this episode, and I smoked less than half a joint.
Hey, nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing wrong. But yeah, dude, I love these videos that you've been starting to put out. They're a lot of fun, man. And like I've said to you, behind the scenes, like, go look at our YouTube page, and it's just my fat face on it over and over again. I'm like, we got to get Nerd in here. We got to get we got to get more people than just my dumb face in my videos. So it's really exciting to see you making those videos, and people love them. As Cat Dad would say, the nerd centric videos are always a lot of fun.
Also, speaking of G3, I was listening to Cultivation this week, and there's that whole conversation about how much Captain loves his bong.
Yeah.
So and then he was talking about how you want it to be as simple as possible so you can clean it easier.
Follow instructions.
Well, that's the thing. I bought a bong. I bought the least intricate one that the store had, and it's still insanity. So I want to show this to you quick. Oh, look at this bad boy.
Yeah.
That is gonna suck to clean.
Yeah, it has 2 rows of percolators.
Percolators, yeah. Oh,
it has the freezer thing on top, the ash catcher. Yeah, it's awful. No, it's awesome. I like it.
I have one that has the thing that can freeze, and then has the coil inside. That thing sucks to clean. I think I cleaned it twice and I gave up, and it's dirty on our shelf, and I'm not touching it again.
That's where all my glass sits.
Yeah.
Shelf not being used.
I didn't know you could put it in the freezer until somebody told me. I just thought the spiral helped like water not get in your mouth, which I'm sure it does, but yeah.
I didn't notice a difference really when it was frozen, but I'm also like, I know people add ice to their bong water, and I still don't like, yeah, it's cooler a little bit, but it didn't really change much for me to have to plan ahead to freeze my piece before smoking. I'm lazy. I forget.
You'll do it the first few times, and then it's quickly fleeting. You're like, yep, I'm not going to remember to put it in the freezer. So fuck it. But
yeah, I have a head shop, like 2 blocks from me. It's like in my neighborhood, and I whenever I finish a plant, I bring like an 1/8 over to the cashier, and then he like hooks me up. He gives me discounts and stuff whenever I need to buy stuff.
Love it. But yeah, other than that stuff, the last little note that I have here is that the tobacco grow along's going. And I definitely put mine out, I think, a little bit too soon, and they paid for it with the cold, but they seem to be bouncing back. And everybody's plants are looking awesome. I'm super stoked. That's I love our cannabis grow alongs, right? That's kind of what all brought us together. But I love that the community is not only just focusing on that, right? YAG and Alabrije last year we did the pumpkin grow along, and then this year between the two of those discords, we've got the pepper grow along, and so just following in something just a little bit different, growing a tobacco, having a tobacco grow along. And I'm not a blunt smoker, and I gave up smoking cigarettes. I gave up chewing, but to grow my own and be able to say, that smoke that blunt is from something that I grew, or
I grew 100% of those.
Yeah. Like that's just something cool there. That was enough to get me going. And Focus, I know he's been around for a while, but he's kind of new to our community. Shout out to Istig. He's the one that ultimately introduced me to him, and I've gotten to know Corey really well. Super smart guy, knows his stuff. And not only is he a cannabis breeder, but he's got all these other varieties of different types of seeds, vegetables, herbs, tobacco, and they're all bred in my area. So what better to, that's why I like to support. Anytime I can support somebody that's local, and that truly cares and knows the science behind all that stuff. Shout out to Focus and his help for the tobacco grow along and everything that he's doing in the community. So yeah, super stoked for that.
So my tobacco is getting huge. It's still in my 4x4 though. Oh, and really? I'm so glad I didn't plant it outside yet, because my entire garden's gone.
Oh no! What
some happened? Some animal got in, ate everything in like 3 days after I put everything outside. So Howling, you had referenced, I guess before we were recording, you had referenced the the banana nut muffins picture. I was at Walmart at 6:30 this morning getting a staple gun and hardware cloth so I can build some fencing up around my raised beds, and then I'll replant stuff.
Fuck, man. Are you going to go with starters, or are you thinking to start from seed again?
I'll probably see if I can get some starters somewhere.
Yeah.
I still have a couple in my 4x4 too.
Okay.
I had some jalapenos going in there.
It's fucking devastating, dude. Last year knocked me down so hard in the outdoor gardening, and I'm going to hit it hard this year. So I'm excited.
I thought I got rid of all the woodchucks, but caught one with a salad in its mouth the other day.
Fuckers.
Buffeting out on my raised beds.
Damn. Well, we'll wrap it up here. Howling, do you have anything you want to lead out with the episode? Any shout outs or plugs or anything?
No, just if, I'm going to say this, but I know we have a lot of overlapping community, is if you, looking to find some more friends, head over on the Your Average Grow Discord. If you like growing peppers, head over there, or the Alabrije Discord. Then shout out to all the people that I'm going to see in September at the Alabrije pop-up.
So stoked.
Hell yeah.
And Nerd's going to be going. So,
and I just found out that the Sunday after the pop-up is the harvest moon. So there better be some naked shenanigans going on.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. I am sure there will be. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm super excited for it. We're getting all of YAG will be there. All of the crew will be there. And then, of course, everybody in the community. So it's going to be awesome to get all of us together. So I am
there's the 50 tickets. And that's at a minimum. Like, that's the 50 tickets that were listed sold out. I know he had like a few extras that maybe are going to be sold to someone. Cool. But so it's going to be a packed pop-up. And then I think we're talking about some after pop-up activities, which will be probably even more people.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be fun time. Chicago doesn't know what it has coming.
Yeah. That's when we bust out the black robes and the goat's heads and shit.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, Nerd, you got anything?
No, I think I'm good.
No. All right, man. Well, listen, Alan, I appreciate you coming to hang out with us. Shout out to the community and everybody. Shout out to you for coming to join us early. Appreciate you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Peace.
Later, people.